We'll wait for you.
Just let me know. Yelling at me.
Well, at least she heard you. We could have started without him.
My husband's birthday, and it was his birthday yesterday. My husband's. Now I'm calling the meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion from the commission for.
Can we remove number 2 from the consent agenda?
Which one are you?
Number 2 from the consent agenda.
So you want to make the motion then, so
Yes.
we're on the agenda?
Yes, yeah, just for discussion.
Okay, so go ahead and make the motion, of whatever motion you want to make regarding the agenda.
Okay, I want to move that we take number 2 off the consent agenda for discussion, move it down.
Second.
So you want a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of C2
For discussion,
to G3,
sure.
excuse me, G4.
The motion was made by Commissioner Petrie, is there, and supported by Commissioner Brady. Discussion? Are those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, now for the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay. Motion was made by Commissioner Glisson, support, and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Discussion on that. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, now we're at the point of public comments. There's a lot of people, as you obviously can see, so we are gonna have to strictly hold to our 3 minutes for public comment if you wanna go up to 3 minutes, which will have a little timer go off, so don't be alarmed, because it usually scares me. And if you, when you do get up there, if you would give your name and city to our city clerk for our records, that would be much appreciated. Also, if you want to make a public comment, if we can kind of have some of you leave to the other room so that they can come in, so that we can keep this at 65, just courtesy for everybody here. That would be helpful, because we want to make sure we have everybody's input that wants to. Now, Mr. Mo Matthew had a comment as well.
Yeah, just, we understand that
Housekeeping.
lots of people are in here to give comments, and we want to hear your comments, but, the sky's not falling. As far as I'm aware, there's no orchestrated effort to get rid of bike night. I understand that Facebook, does all sorts of crazy things, so please keep that in mind when making your comments. We're not trying to steal away events or whatever. This is mostly a policy discussion. The city has policies about special events, and the application that was submitted was not complete when we received it. I don't think it's complete still. So please keep that in mind when you make your public comments, please.
Okay, who would like to be the first?
Hi, Jessica Harold with Peer Business Owner. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share our experience of Bike Night. When it was initially brought to us in 2021, I was so excited about the opportunity to bring a large group of people to Lapeer. I was the first to agree to sponsor Bike Night and enthusiastically supported it on social media the entire summer. But during that first summer, I realized that Bike Night was not actually benefiting my business. The crowds I brought in on Fridays prior to Bike Night, even during the very tumultuous 2020 and 21 years, were much higher than the business I was experiencing with this more niche crowd. Since then, Bike Night has turned a robust weekend night into a very slow one for cookies. But let me be very, very clear. In no way am I anti-Bike Night. I love the energy that it brings, and I love showing off downtown and will always support having a bike night, even to the detriment of my own business. What I would ask, however, is to consider when it is held and how often it is held, or the length of it. Last summer, the Rainy Fridays devastated the event, leaving downtown empty. During its 15-plus weeks, downtown is associated with bike night and may lose the consideration of a larger swath of people who aren't affected by the rain, car drivers, right? Therefore, making the entire downtown a victim to the weather when it should be the most vibrant and celebrated part of our community every day of the year, and especially in the summer. To lose a weekend day is beyond detrimental to the small business owners who need every day to be as successful as possible. I fully support having bike night. I would love for it to be considered any day of the week, reserving the weekend for a broader audience to bring even more people to this incredible downtown and bring more people together. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. We love bike night.
Thank you.
I did not say at the beginning that we did receive 25 emails, comments for and 3 events. I just want you to be aware of that. The commission has that information. Okay.
Hi, I'm Carol Brown, Mayfield Township. I'd like to open with prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord, for your word and your law, the Bible, which is the most absolute, highest authority. But I do thank you, Lord, for law enforcement and councils and things of government, because we need those for order. So I just ask for your blessings on this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen. And I also want to say, because I am a Christian biker, that I am in favor and in support of having Friday night, bike night. That's it.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Lenny Brashear. I live in Attic Township. I am the director of Lapeer Hog chapter that's sponsored from Racing's Harley Davidson. And in my humble opinion, I believe it's a great event. It's an event that we use to, we run a raffle, and we take that money and we donate it back to the city, the city of Lapeer, the police, the county, the Child Advocacy Center, and the veterans. Without having that bike night, and to the other lady's point, to have it during the week, most of the crowd that comes there, basically that's their time. They can't come during the week. If they come on a Wednesday or a Thursday, that's great. That would be great. But unfortunately, a lot of us still work. So we have the weekends off. And that's our night to come out and celebrate a little bit and enjoy our evening. Because otherwise we're going to be home by 9 o'clock or 8 or whatever it is. So I thank the commission for holding this information meeting, let us speak on our behalf, and that's awesome. So I would just, it encourages people to come downtown. Prior to bike night on Fridays, it was like a ghost town. I mean, we could all attest to that. I mean, you might have had a few people at Wood Chips or, at the Vinyl sometimes, or, even prior to Vinyl, whatever the other Mexican restaurant that was there and that. But other than bike night, there wasn't that many people down here on Friday. I don't understand. We still want to draw the people down and bring them down, and the particular crowd that's coming down on Friday, we're blue collar people. That's the gist of it, really. And without, and especially with us, with the hog chapter, we sell a lot of raffle tickets down here, and it all goes for a good cause. All that money stays in the county. It goes to, like I said, it goes to the police, the sheriff's department, and the Child Advocacy Center. We help build that new building they're building over there with our donations and the people that come down here and help support that. And that's a great, great cause. All of them are. So I encourage us, you guys to approve that permit, whether it's absolutely complete. Maybe you could go back and make sure you guys, make sure it gets completed so that you guys could approve that permit and we can continue to have our nights. Thank you.
My name's Lisa Lee. I'm a member and live here and live here. I've lived here for almost 14 years. I have a moderate autistic son who's also high ADHD. And he's played football, and I'll tell you what, even during Lapeer days, he does not go downtown. He goes downtown for bike night. I've lost him a couple times, and I'll tell you what, he's come up to several bikers here and said, hey, I've lost my mom. And I've always told him, go to the bikers will help you, they will help you find your mom. I see more business downtown on Fridays during bike night than any other time. I've heard people say and claim that it's the residents are complaining about the noise. I could complain to you more about Lapeer days than I could about bike night. And you're never gonna make anybody happy. Things will always happen during any event. But like Jen said, before bike night, Lapeer downtown on Friday, I was a block and a half. I can count how many cars go down the street after 8 o'clock. There's nobody. There's nothing to draw anybody in. If a business is complaining about not making money during bike night, it is that owner's responsibility to look at what can they do to draw the people in. Because they have a crowd. It's there. And for a business to say they're not making money, you can't get in those restaurants and get a seat at a table to eat during bike night. So we gotta keep it. We gotta keep bike night. It's a community event. Kids are coming down, kids are interacting, and they're learning about their community. They're even meeting law enforcement. My son, for the first time, talked to a police officer and was okay. Because a biker told him, these people can help you too. It's a big community thing. Let's just keep it.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for holding this, definitely. My name's Roberta Henderson, I'm a Lapeer resident. My statement is Friday night bike nights bring in extra business from local and surrounding cities. So to take it from other evenings, that's gonna dwindle, it will dwindle. And otherwise they won't come downtown. Friday bike nights are long-standing events. I mean, even my grandparents, when they were alive, would come down here. Men, women, children look forward to summer evenings, seeing the bikes, listening to the music, and spending time. You know, Third Degree Burns, they are upcoming musical. Our community supports them, and they play down here. I didn't even know about that. And those kids are magical. But to take away that on a Friday, put it in during the week, the school days and stuff like that, we all know, we're parents, we're family. They don't have that flexibility. Where on Fridays, they do. And that brings money into lovely Lapeer. And that's what we want. I know that's what you guys want. As a Lapeer Hog chapter member, sponsored by Ray C's, our downtown raffles, as my director had said, it is our second highest event for our chapter that brings in money for our local charities give back program. Our three important are the Lapeer City Department, which we know they keep our downtown safe, and they deserve to have extra money, and they deserve to have our support. And then also the second one is our Lapeer County Sheriff. We know they do a good job for our county. They do. And then the Child Advocacy Center. Yes, we raise a lot of money during our raffle times on Friday night bike night, which won't happen if we move it to any other day. Removing Friday night bike nights will reduce attendance, and the reason why is many of our people are blue-collar workers, and they can only attend on Fridays. Saturday for all these years have been family day downtown, and that gives everybody extra time to be on Saturday. During the week, it will dwindle. And a lot of our local and surrounding areas, they work in the factories, they work down in the tech centers. By the time, I'm sure you guys know, by the time they drive home, they can't even attend during the week. Right. So Friday nights are really, really important. One, to bring money into Lapeer and revenue, and two, to let the family and their siblings and people from out of town come in and join. You know, I had to go down to the city and work for a while, And a lot of businesses changed. My niece, my special needs niece comes from Car Watson. Where does she want to go? To the Blend. So it's like those people come back in and they want that. But on the weekends, Friday night.
Sorry, your 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Let's keep writing like right now.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm Wes Simpson. I live in Lapeer, born in Lapeer, been here all my life, except for my time spent in the Marine Corps. I'm the founder and the past president of the Eagle Riders of Lapeer. And we have, just like the Hogs here, we do raffling down here. I don't know if you ever heard of Kids for Christmas. We take care of families at Christmas time. We have one awesome thing that's a bicycle giveaway that we do for the kids of our community. And we do that every May. And without this going on down here, that would take half of what we stand for. Because when we come down here and we socialize with all these people and stuff, and the word gets out, flyers get handed out, raffle tickets get sold. I mean, it's a community in itself. And when I hear that, oh, well, we're worried about families and we want to extend our families. Well, I don't know if you guys realize it or looked at our age, but most of the families around here are our children. And when they go against us, I mean, we're not out there burning buildings and raping people and beating up people on the streets. Not like you see in the old Hell's Angels movies. That's far gone. But without us, there'd be a big hole in this community. And that's keep Bike Night. That's all, folks. That's all I got.
Hi, I'm Candy Noblette, and I live in Lapeer. And first I want to say thank you. I think you guys do a fabulous job of promoting Lapeer. One of the things that I liked the most is there's always something going on down here. But I think bikers have gotten a bad rep. We are not notorious and we are not nefarious. We're just moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, young adults, and our children do come to all of these events. And we're raising them to respect Lapeer. If you come to Lapeer, it's not bikers against families. There's families there. We allow children to come in and sit on our bikes. We've started our bikes so they could hear the roar. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I worked at the courthouse for 8 years for the chief judge, and we've never had complaints about bike night. Our cameras from that courthouse shine down on the street and there's no problems. We have several charities. I am part of Chapter 65. We have helped. I will tell you, I've only been part of this for 9 months. We've already helped 3 children through charity research or fundraisers that we've had. We're currently holding a VFW fundraiser. We've done Christmases for families that wouldn't have had a Christmas. That's not anti-family. We're all about the family. We've helped women with domestic violence get in touch with the proper people. We're there for the community. We serve the community. We serve all of Lapeer, the same as you do. And I would ask you to please consider that Bike Night is not negative. It's us celebrating what we serve. It's us coming together and trying to find ways to do more for the community. We don't just come down and rabble rouse. We come down and see what our needs are, and we try to meet them. And if you ever need a need met, contact one of our groups. We're more than happy to talk to all of you, any of you, and help you. Please keep Bike Night.
Hello.
Thank you to the commissioners. My name's Jim Hargraves, formerly of Lapeer, currently with Davison. I'd like to say I've been involved because Ray Clemens is a friend of mine since the inception of Bike Night. And having worked so many times with Ray on a Friday night, I've had many riders indicate that they consider the Friday bike night a destination versus a weeknight being a bar night, which mostly occurs. And as far as a former director with the Lapeer Hog chapter, having been replaced by Mr. Bashir, I can attest that the Lapeer Hog associated with Ray C's Harley Davidson uses this as one of our charity fundraisers. And if a weeknight is going to draw a smaller crowd than a Friday night, that impacts the local community, such as the Child Advocacy Center, Lapeer County Sheriff's Department charity, the City of Lapeer Police Department charity, Lakota. Those are all going to have an impact by the reduced spending and charitable donations in the rider community to support charitable organizations. And as a side note, even though I live in the area, during the weekdays, I'm outside of the area, hour and a half away. I do not live in this area during a weeknight. I have to rent a room because I'm too far away to drive. There is no way on a weeknight I'm going to come back up here to attend and support the community and then turn around, drive back, and only get a few hours sleep. It's not worth it to me. I'd like everybody to consider that point. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor. I'm Buddy Byer. I'm representing Byers Furniture, and we are in support of Bike Night. One of the things I think that needs to be considered that I always like to look at is the number of individuals that have an opportunity to earn money on an event like this. In other words, the people that are waiting the tables that count on this income and have that removed from them, I think would be a big detriment to the community. Byers Furniture in and of itself does not benefit on a Friday night from Bike Night. I would be the first to admit that we slow down in the afternoon, and I'm 100% fine with that because we have to support everything and all the events, whether it's profitable for us as our business owner or whether it's not. Okay? Lapeer Days, we support Lapeer Days, but we take a pretty good hit financially on Lapeer Days. But everybody busting and waiting tables does very well. We support that. The last thing I want to tell this board is one of the largest sales I had last year was a direct result of individuals that ride up from North Oakland County and discovered Lapeer, Michigan. They make a loop 3 or 4 times a summer up through the thumb and back around. And this gentleman told me the number of times he's been at that intersection and never made a turn to come down the Nipissing Street. They discovered our town. They now make a loop, and on that way back, they stop for dinner at any of the restaurants. And we sent a truckload of furniture down to North Oakland County as a result of it. I don't expect that this year. It wasn't prior. What is so important to me is that they discovered our town. What an asset this town is. What a wonderful place this is. We're not on the water. We don't have lake access. We're not a destination town, but they discovered our town. And they still come back in the off season of biking and spend money here. I think that's important. I think you have a lot of support for this event. Thank you.
Nita Payne, Lapeer Erie Chamber of Commerce. On the page 2 or the back side, we have 4 events here that we're looking for, that we put our event permits in. I always do that in January so that we can get them on the agenda early. And I asked for all 4 of them to be placed this first meeting. partly because we are getting requests from suppliers and contractors earlier now, and they want 50% deposits. And if I have to pay a sound company $6,000 on a $12,000 bill for Lapeer Days, then that's a lot of money to put out in signing a contract. If something doesn't happen, then we're still liable for that. So I'm just asking for these permits to be approved now so that we can move forward with our planning. We meet the end of this month to start on the festival. We're already planning food trucks. We're already getting requests from vendors, from food trucks, from crafters for different events. Lapeer Days is the only event that is a fundraiser to help the chamber keep the stores open so that we can do fireworks, we can do the Santa House, the Christmas parade, and the fireworks and all the other things that we do in the community. And I agree with everyone here. These downtown events are critical. I don't know if, well, some of you were here when Michigan Main Street a few years ago did their survey. And one of the things that they said was absolutely critical to any downtown is you have to have events and they have to be diverse. They need to appeal to a lot of different age groups and audiences, whether they're family events or more adult type events like bike nights and what have you. And they do bring in people from out of county. That's new money. That's not money that was made here. They come from out of state. That's new money. And like Buddy said, and I agree with him, when people who work in our local businesses are profiting and they're benefiting from these events, and then they're going into this community and maybe they're buying gas at our gas stations or going to our drugstores, that money stays in our community and it regenerates and it makes an impact. And with our events, Lapeer Days, for example, I mean, it too supports a lot of nonprofits. I mean, last year, Project Brotherhood Resolve, Lakata, Child Advocacy Center, WMPC Christian Radio. I mean, they're all out there, and they're, you know, the church that does the egg rolls every year. That's their biggest fundraiser. So it does help and provides a platform for our nonprofit organizations, not only to raise funds, but to get their message out to people in the community who may not be aware that they exist, but they may need those services that that particular organization provides. So I think it is critical. I think all of the events have made our town more lively. They draw people here, and like Buddy said, people come back. Maybe they're not here to shop on bike night. Maybe they're not here to shop in the boutiques and the shops during other events, whether it's a car show or it's Lapeer Days or it's food trucks or whatever, but they note and they come back. I mean, we've had calls at our office asking. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor. My name's Carl Harrison. I'm a citizen of Lapeer as of March 2023. I visited this beautiful town. I call it a small big town from where I come from. I'll be honest with you, I am a business owner, entrepreneur. I've owned several businesses through my lifetime. I currently own a business. I visited this town, didn't even know about bike nights. I'm a biker. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I've worked on them since I was knee-high with my uncles. I introduced this town to my family. My family fell in love with it. It took me 5 years to get here. 5 years. Relocated here last year. Fell in love with it. Enjoyed bike nights. Mr. Womack, with all due respect, I know you mentioned Facebook. You're right. Social media platforms, it's a spread of hate. It's a spread of miscommunication, misrepresentation. My question to you as a citizen, new citizen to this town, and I enjoy this. I enjoy this town very much so, in just 1 year, is if there is a application that is not properly out, why aren't you guys moving forward and trying to make it happen? What's the purpose of having events downtown? Is it or not to create revenue for this town, to keep it thriving, for families to come here and visit over time, spend their hard-earned money? Let's go down to the reality. We're all hardworking Americans. Our weekends, that's our weekends. That's all we got. We look forward to those days. I want them. My family looks forward to them. Trust me, my wife has shopped this whole little town and has completely remodeled our house and supported every business in this. Now, those opposing, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why they're failing is because people see it. You see what they support, what they don't support. So if you don't support us, we're not going to support you. That's fact. That's in any business. So I don't see why this town, this city, give up one of the biggest nights that support this town, this community, by hardworking Americans. I mean, that's, and if you're considering replacing with something else, what are you gonna guarantee me? What are you gonna guarantee me that's gonna keep people coming here? I got family that ride 2-3 hours. My parents ride. My dad's a Shriner. He is active in the community. Charities, I'm a free man. Myself, I am working towards those goals. And I will do the same thing. I am part of various charity events. I would love to support this community and continue. But if they're not, and they're gonna discriminate, I hold this city accountable for keeping up the values of my home.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Basil E. King, and I actually have a Columbiaville address, but I'm a Panther through and through. Born and raised here in Lapeer. I've been riding for 59 years, and I'm sorry, guys, I've never rode a Harley. I ride a three-wheeled Volkswagen trike. So when I come down, a lot of people are looking at it because it's, not because it's better, because it's not, it's just different. But I am also the chaplain for Lapeer Eagle Riders, number 2427. Wes was kind enough to tell you some of the places that we support, but he didn't include Leucata, and he did not include Love Incorporated. And when it comes to bike night, you look around, you see all kinds of patches and that from all the different chapters from all over the state, and it brings in revenue. Lapeer has always been known as a nothing town. And now, now you're bringing in people that's really great to see. Like I say, I've been here for 73 years, so it's been a long time coming, and we need this kind of activity. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Lapeer City Commission. My name is Anne Marie Zettel, and I'm a resident of the city of Lapeer. I live just off the downtown. I could hear the bikes leaving on bike night. I looked at G on your agenda of all the special events that are planned for the summer, and I'm very excited, including and especially bike night, because it's a great deal of fun. I avail myself of the crowds and the music and the excitement frequently. In my other life, I'm the executive director of Lapeer Teamwork, and we have a consignment shop in our agency downtown, right across from the old courthouse. It is not bike night that brings in individuals for our consignment store, where people with disabilities are trained in retail. But people do come back. I agree with Buddy Byers. They come back. They look in the windows, they see what's there. They don't want to carry something home on their bike, but these people do come back, or they come earlier and avail themselves of our products and see what we're all about as we assist individuals with disabilities learn employment skills. I am looking forward to all of these festivals. I'm looking forward to Bike Night. Good luck in your decision making, and I hope you support it. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see everybody. Thank you for the time. Linda Bonner. I am a rider. I am an ambassador for the Lapeer Chamber. I do a lot of volunteer work in our community. And I just want to say that Bike Night is enjoyed by so many in our community. 5 hours once a week during the summer where new friends are made, old friendships are rekindled while supporting local businesses. And to go along with what Ann had said, I know someone personally that spotted something in the Teamwork consignment store and returned later in the week to purchase that item. So we come together on Friday night to mingle, share charity support events, and enjoy the evening. The riders are a good breed for sure. They are taxpayers, family people, business owners, veterans, clubs like the Christian groups, police officers, nonprofits, retirees, out-of-towners, and people of all ages. So when word started getting out about this, I got an email from Gary Burns, Third Degree Burns, and he wanted me to share this on his behalf. I am Gary Burns, president of a nonprofit organization called the Young Musicians Community and manager of classic rock band Third Degree Burns. I've been running this free music program in Lapeer for 19 years for any young person that wants to learn and perform classic rock and roll. I heard there is a single restaurant complaining about Lapeer Friday bike nights, and that this may cause the canceling of a said event. If this is true about a single restaurant, then so be it. But some reason the canceling of Lapeer Friday bike nights is not a wise decision in my viewpoint. I want to support the continuation of Lapeer Friday bike nights. Why, you ask? It is a great family night in Lapeer that brings a lot of business from other towns. It keeps Lapeer on the map. It's a night of feeling safe in our own town. And most important to me, the YMC and Third Degree Burns band, it's at least one Friday our bands get to perform for our hometown and their family and friends. The crowd is always great. The kids in the band love the cheering and applause for their performances, which makes them feel like rock stars. We have had members not only from Lapeer, okay, but Emily City, Omont, Mayville, Dryden, Davison, Squirts Creek, Lakeville, Cape Happy.
You have to stop.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
God bless our community.
Should give her my two.
Good evening, thank you. My name's Bob Novak, I'm from Lapeer. I'm not gonna start with what actually one of my chapter members did, Candy, who was up here earlier. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy. I'm a past commander of the VFW here locally in Lapeer. Currently the secretary of Chapter 65, the Freedom Cruisers. What does bike night mean? Means to us, means to me personally, a chance for me to mingle with my friends, my brothers and my sisters. Not family members, they're brothers and sisters of what we're familiar with, and that's riding. We have a chance to share, and also I have a chance to share with them what we're giving back to the community. And what is it we give back to the community? For instance, this coming summer, we are running a major event for Project Brotherhood Resolve. I heard somebody mention that organization earlier. That particular organization works with veterans that are homeless and also suicide awareness. We're running a major poker event with Friday Night Bikes. That gives us the greatest opportunity to spread that word, not only amongst our other chapters, which help us also, and we have quite a few chapters of Freedom Cruisers right here within Michigan that also support Friday Night Bikes. It gives us a chance to bring in other bikers and for them to see what we do and for them to show us what they're doing and for us to send that back to them. What do bikers bring to this community? Something that since I've lived here, I haven't seen. Togetherness. Spirit that I had not seen before. I read back in an article, even the city manager at that time praised Friday night bike nights. The city police chief even commented in that particular article how there were no incidents. It doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday or Thursday, but what is for the greatest and for the common good? And the common good to someone that is not in business at this time because I'm supposedly retired would be a Friday night when I can gather and gain the greatest income. I am here not because I have to buy, it's because I want to be here and buy and have that time with my friends. Thank you for your time.
Hello, hi, I'm Nancy Smileski. I live in Plumville. I am a Harley Hog member. I was the Ladies of Harley officer last year. I started coming to bike nights, or let me rephrase that. Me coming to bike nights is how I discovered downtown Lapeer. I had never been to downtown Lapeer, even though I've known of Lapeer for 50 years. Never knew businesses were down here until I started coming to bike night. Discovered the auditorium, discovered I'm a member at the gym down here. I started shopping at the little pharmacy. I never knew any of those existed until I started coming to bike night. My uncle who lives in Mayville started coming down here. My other uncles who live in Carroll started coming down here. I've got friends in Taylor who come up here for bike night. Those people aren't gonna ride if you change it to any other night of the week. Most of us who ride bikes, we're not just gonna get on it for 30 minutes. We ride because we enjoy riding. I have grandkids. My daughter, who lives in Lapeer, comes up here to visit me. She hates motorcycles, hates me on my motorcycle. She comes to see me when I'm up here visiting with people. I've met so many fellow lady riders from Schwartz Creek, Port Huron. We met someone last year from Port Austin that came down to our bike night. I mean, you don't even understand how outreaching this Friday night bike night is to the bikers in our state. You get people from all over come here. And if it got changed to another night, it would destroy it. There's no other way to put it. So I really hope that you all consider that and keep it going. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Hanson, Armada, Michigan. So when I bought this building in 2014, spent a year and a half renovating it, 26 30-yard dumpsters with plaster and lath. After we opened, I thought, did I make a mistake here, and used to joke tumbleweed blowing down the street. The momentum's here right now with, our Oktoberfest, Lapeer Days, Friday Night Bike Night, Porch Fest. There's so much going on. Why try to take something away? These girls, I'm here on behalf of 16 of my strong, amazing employees. So these girls fight to get a shift on Friday night. When they're making $22 to $45 an hour, these bikers tip like nobody else. And if somebody wants to come out if they can't come out on Friday night because of the bikers, they're gonna come out Thursday, they're gonna come out Saturday, they're gonna come out Sunday. The bikers don't have, put any fear in the patrons out here. One thing I have an issue with is, there was one person running this, and how this all started off is we all, we had meetings with racees and vendors, and we were all together promoting and able to put stuff on Facebook. But that's been taken away because, it's one single individual that doesn't want to share any information. And when my servers and my staff's asked, what's the lineup for music this weekend? We don't know. I've been blocked from Facebook. I have to have somebody else get the info and then send it to me so I can get the lineup for music. I think this thing could be so much grander if we had, somebody large and in charge. Jim Alt did a hell of a job when he ran it. We'd sit down, have meetings, and collectively put our heads together, the vendors, the music. With all that said, last year I was able to donate $250 to the chamber, $250 to the DDA. I dropped a check off for $500 to the police department. With how much I wanted to donate for the bike night and entertainment, I was blocked from all that. So I took the money and the staff voted the DDA, the chamber, and the police department. So they have a charitable foundation that I dropped the check off. And plus we gave money to the refuge and the child advocacy center just because of bike night, the revenue that we get in extra. So I think it's been a great asset, to have downtown, and we haven't had any issues, no complaints. So I'm for it. See if we can keep it going strong. So, all right.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doug. I live in Lapeer. My wife works in downtown Lapeer. I hate public speaking, but she said if bike night continues, I get to get a bike. But I do love bringing my kids up to bike night. They love it. They find it fun. So I just hope it continues. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak. I'm the business owner that I think a lot of you mistakenly think is somehow against bike night or trying to get it canceled. I will reiterate the words of City Manager Womack. Nobody is trying to cancel bike nights. As Tom said, we're trying to look for more collaboration and inclusivity to make this event sustainable and successful for everybody involved so it can be here for a long time to come.
Just trying to change it to
Wait, hold on, this is not public comment.
Just package some.
I rise today in support of a sustainable and growing bike night in downtown Lapeer. The issue at hand is that we have not yet had that. In the first year, we were a main sponsor of the bike night. We were excited and optimistic. It represented a collaboration of several different businesses and organizations, including the DDA. The kickoff event was very well attended, and while a few other events throughout the summer had solid numbers, attendance tended to drop, and even on days when there were great weather. When bike night returned the following year, it represented a much smaller collaboration of businesses with little outreach to many of us. Subsequently, the event had smaller attendance out the gate than the first year, and those numbers continued to slowly drop throughout the year as well, with times of inclement weather devastating the town. Last year, the event was down to a single organizer, and again, initial attendance was smaller and continued to generally drop throughout the year. Now, we all love having people downtown and the energy and fun that can come with it. But as with anything, there are trade-offs and opportunity costs. In the restaurant industry, and most retail for that matter, a majority of our weekly sales come from the brief period of about 4 p.m. Friday till 6 p.m. Sunday. You can see this by going out and checking local restaurants on a Friday night around 6:30. From E.G. Nick's to Applebee's to Wood Chips, Pueblo, Lucky's, Lake Inn, or even our brand new Lightning Rounds, each place will be completely full if not on a wait, even in these slower winter months. We'll also note that none of this requires a city-subsidized event that closes the streets in order to achieve it. More so, if you visit those restaurants at 5 p.m. or even 8:45 p.m., you'll see most of them still very full. Because as many have pointed out, it's not only bikers who generally have the weekend off, it's the vast majority of us. Now, yes, during many bike nights, you will see most of the downtown restaurants full at 6:30 p.m. Supporters of a Friday night event point to this as proof of its success. But if you look between 3 to 5:45 p.m., you'd see many of them much emptier than those other restaurants outside of the downtown, and more empty than that stretch would be outside of the bike night season. Similarly, if you check back at 8:45, you'd find something similar. In the past, we reached out for feedback from other businesses downtown, generally open on Friday evenings, and the results were mixed. While some businesses thrive, some see their sales drops, the street closures create challenges for the regular clientele, and limited peak times of bike night decrease the overall sales potential. Some businesses in the past just chose to close early. This affects more than business owners, but the employees who depend on these shifts and the servers who earn lots of tips during those periods. Now I'm here to speak only for myself and not anyone else's business, but that positively advocating for collaborative conversations to produce a more sustainable, inclusive bike night for all has shown to come with a high cost. Not only has the organizer never reached out or offered to work in collaborative effort since the initial year, but in fact chose to take to social media, utilizing Facebook to spread misrepresentations, rumors, and downright lies about myself. You guys talked over me at the beginning. I support a bike night, guys. Open collaboration like this is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Melissa. I live in Lapeer. I work downtown at Vinyl. We are busy every Friday night. I don't know why he's saying 8:30, we slow down. We are busy past bike night ending. Not just bikers. The nights that it's been rained out, people still come hoping to see the bikes. I have people fighting for a seat at the bar to where I have a whole patio and I'm trying to help the bartenders catch up. We are busy on bike night, whether it is slow or not, because we support it. I know Tilted is also very busy. The only place that dies down around 8 is generally wood chips. I'm not trying to speak for Scott, but I know he would probably love some help with bike night. If anyone's willing to help, I'm sure he would be more than willing to help with it as long as they're helping support it like he is. When he's paying for all the bands and all the everything, as long as it's a collaborative effort, I'm sure he will be fine with the help. I work there, we love it. My kids love coming downtown. My husband really wants to get a bike. I put a kibosh on that until now. This is like the final drive for him. But thank you all for your time.
My name is Rick Crow. I live in Lapeer, and I'm here for all the boos and hisses. Everything's good with what the bikers are doing. The unintended consequences are the noises the people that live in that area suffer when they can't even hear their TV from all the things going on. As an appraiser and a realtor, I always advise people, go drive it different times of the day and at night and everything else. And you can see if there are things that are wrong. The guys next door are practicing their band until midnight. You know, it's a football field across the street and the lights are on all night long in your bedroom. So some of the consequences are, and it's kind of your guys to figure that out, is that the people that are really close in proximity to live there suffer with a lot of the noise from the bands or whatever it's from. And it's just something for you guys to consider. Thank you. Sorry, everybody.
How you doing? Scott Yankovic, owner of Vinyl Bar and Grill and Old Detroit Burger Bar. I didn't plan on speaking tonight at all until I heard other business owners talk. So I would love for the DDA to take this back over. I didn't want to do this by myself at all. Mr. Tom here called me 1 week before it started. Everything was already done. I have people calling now.
Not true.
Until June. No one called me or came down and talked to me. They can walk down. Patrick never came down, ever. They all know where I'm at. I'm easy to find. If somebody wants to take it over, he can fill out the application right now, since obviously I can't do it, right? And he can take it over. I have no problems with that. So whatever you guys want to do.
Could you direct your comments to the commission?
Yeah, I am. I just said you can take it and find someone else to do it if they can do it better than me. But I'm not going to let it end. That's it.
Hi there, Jeanette Osentoski. So it's so sad that it's come to this. It really is. This started out as something to just consider, was like every Friday, because there's so limited of Fridays. I mean, you guys can all figure it out. I think, is it 15 Fridays in the summer? So it wasn't about like, somebody here called the people that don't support Friday Night Bike. I think he said we're racist. Like, we don't like bikers. Somebody said, same gentleman said, and if they don't support us, we ain't gonna support them. Wow, great, that's the answer. Because it's not about the people. These are some beautiful people. I know a lot of these people, they pray, they have families. So it's so sad that it's come to this. I am a business owner. I know Patrick personally. It was something to just, again, collaborate. Tom, I loved what you said. It's not about, it's just so divided all the time. And here we are again when it's not that. It was just about considering maybe every other Friday night, or collaborate where the business owners are seeing a drop in their sales on Friday. Someone even said, we might not spend money on a Friday, but too bad, we'll be back. Okay, these business owners are trying to take those 15 Fridays in the summer and make it count. They gotta stick it in there, just like the chamber. They do Lapeer days so they can stuff their coffers a little bit with money. So that's what summers mean to a lot of the little local businesses. So I'm sorry to get emotional. I wasn't even really gonna speak, but when Scott gets up here and says people can come find him and he's not gonna let it go, give me a break. That's not the attitude we need. Thank you.
Hello, Tony.
Hello, good evening. Tony Strome, Executive Director for Stone's Throw Theater at 423 West Nipissing Street, also a resident of here. At the beginning of the evening, City Manager Womack stated that this is more about policy than it is about going after one event. My only concern is if you are going after policy to make the correction of a policy and how applications for events are held, you must hold it against every other event in this city, including Lapeer Days, including Nightmare on Nipissing, including Baubles and Broomsticks, including anything else that happens within our community. I think it's a little scary that you're going after policy on an application process of approval. I really do think that this is a real slippery slope.
Anybody else, before we move on, this is your opportunity to step up for public comment.
I was gonna wait till.
Chris, no, please.
Chris Jadek, city resident. I am not gonna talk about bike night. So, I don't know, some people might be happy, some might not, but I just wanna say that what took place at the last meeting really disappointed me. Some of the arguing, some of the fighting. And I just hope that we can all move past that and get down to business and, get stuff accomplished and move in the right direction. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Mayor, before we move on, there might be people in the other room. Would you mind if I ask anyone in the other room if they'd like to make a
Yeah, go ahead. Don't want to exclude anybody.
Yeah, someone else got stuff to say, but we're just gonna hold our tongues. Cause I mean, I could really bite it off right now.
Okay, nobody's interested?
Okay. Okay, then we're at the consent agenda number 1, only at this time.
Mayor, motion to move the consent agenda.
Okay, motion's been made to move the consent agenda and support by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Atwood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. And 2 will be later on in the agenda. Now we're at the bill listing. You said,
Okay, I move that we approve the consent agenda. Wait, that's the wrong.
No, bill
Next
listing.
one, approve the bill listing for February 5th, 2024 in the amount of $4,251,346.32.
The motion was made by Commissioner Glissman and supported by Commissioner Petrie. Discussion? No, that's a large sum. Commissioner Atwood,
Consider the words of late Aileen Bennett, that's a lot of money.
just to keep them around. It is a lot of sum. This might be the most we've ever had. Okay, anybody else? All right, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glissman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
The motion's carried. Okay, now we're down to G, administrative reports, and the first one up is charitable gaming license for the City of Lapeer Police Officers Charitable Fund.
Madam Mayor. Make a motion to adopt the local governing body resolution for charitable gaming licenses for the City of Lapeer Police Officers Charitable Fund.
Support. The motion was made by Commissioner Swindell, and I think Commissioner Glissman. I heard your voice first.
I jumped in.
Okay. Discussion. Okay. Hearing done. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, ordinance amendment for chapter 8 on the property maintenance code.
Madam Mayor, motion to adopt the ordinance amendment to Chapter 8, Property Maintenance Code, Article 7 of the General Ordinance of the City of Lapeer.
And supported. So The motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Is there discussion? Commissioner Brady. Keith Brady.
I just have a couple of questions. In the ones that we're passing, the one about the property maintenance department, are we creating a new department? Will there be a new official for that department? It's 103.1, I believe.
Mr. Olmec, would you answer that, please?
Yeah, so the property maintenance code is enforced by, I believe, the building department and the code enforcement officer. I don't know if we specifically have that specific department. If it's required, then we could create one, but that's certainly not the lesson we're taking here. The ordinance has actually been on the books for many, many, many years, and we're simply updating to the newest form of it.
But we're adding language to it, so we'll repeal other ordinances.
So the current edition that is on the books is not specific. What we're doing here is creating a specific edition of the book that we're using. So I believe all ordinances repeal any ordinances that previously.
Okay. Will there be a cost to the city to add, if we are adding a new department? It says that it also names a different code official.
There shouldn't be any cost reference adding employees or staff, if that's what you mean. It did cost $70 to buy the book.
So we'll be changing the code officer or a code official, because it does say that it names a different code official. So who will be the code official?
Well, I believe we have a building official and
So
a code enforcement officer.
And he'll be,
They would be tasked with enforcing this code, yes.
it just doesn't say that, that's what I'm reading. Okay, and my other question is, it says in our charter, and I'm going by that our city attorney is supposed to review and approve of ordinance changes, and since this will change an ordinance by appealing whatever's there now, I would feel better about approving this if it went to through our city attorney.
So my understanding of what the charter says is that the city attorney shall review any ordinances that are referred to it by the city commission. This body has not done that. The current process, which has been in process since long before I was here, is that the city manager can bring ordinances to the commission for review and approval. This is, I thought I was going to say the election ordinance was the easiest one I've ever written, but I didn't even write this one. This is a code that's been approved of by many, many attorneys, and it's simply updating the one that's already in the books.
You can send that, you can ask us to send that now.
I'm just going by what the charter says. I'm new. I want to follow the rules. The charter does say the city attorney goes by it. If it repeals something that we have currently and makes changes to an ordinance, that's what I want to do. So I'm asking this commission, can we send that to the city attorney?
Make it as a motion.
So I move to
I
approve.
thought there's a motion on the floor.
You would amend.
Okay, so I want
You do that now.
to. So I would like to amend that this.
Commissioner Atwood would have to, would send his second, and Commissioner Brady, you would have to remove yours and then.
I'm sorry, point of parliamentary procedure. Does it need to be rescinded? Or
You have a motion on the floor that either has to be voted on in favor or against, and then you could make a different motion. If you're asking me if they can rescind the motion,
Or I'm asking, can they amend what's already out there?
she cannot,
Only the person who made it.
correct.
Good.
And the seconder has to agree. So the motion on the floor is to adopt it as is.
Commissioner Atwood.
So just to clarify, we're just adopting what's already written. It's just an updated version.
I mean, that's what I'm attempting to do, yes.
So you didn't write the book that we have in front of us. That's
No.
coming, where's it coming from?
It's coming from the International Code Council, and they also write the fire code, property maintenance code, the plumbing code, the electrical code, this code, that code.
So if, let's say if the city attorney looks at this he couldn't make any changes necessarily or recommendations to what is already written,
I guess he could, but he won't.
because this has been approved at the state level.
Well, it's been approved of by the body that puts all these codes together, that's used by virtually every city in the United States.
Commissioner Brady had a question.
I think if I'm understanding correctly, Commissioner Petrie's concern is with the language that we've got, that we superimpose on top of this. It says property maintenance department. But my understanding is that that we're going with what we already have in place. So I'm not rescinding my motion to amend.
Yeah, I don't think we're making a new department with new budget lines or anything like that. It's just,
I didn't think so when I read through it. Okay, any more discussion?
I just want to say that it's saying creation of an agency, so are we or are we not creating one that is not named that right now?
No.
But that's what I asked. Do we have one right now that's called that?
We have code enforcers.
Right.
Building and gentleman from a police department.
And this one's going to be inserted what? What will the language say there if they're inserted?
Their names?
Well,
Their names
according to this, it's a agency that right now is not, we have never named that, so that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think I understand her question.
Yeah, we don't have an agency with that title, but our department is taking care of these codes and always has. It's just we're adopting their updated version, basically.
But why are we not just keeping the same department name then? Is it building code authority that I mean,
I can. Mr. Womack?
Could you repeat the question, please? You give me citations, the location that you're specifically referencing.
okay, it's under the section 103 code compliance. And the reason that this is concerning me is because we are changing a lot of ordinances coming up possibly in the next 6 months. And I don't know if this one will correlate with it or whatever. And it says creation of agency, meaning we're gonna insert something in there. The name of the agency that you're putting in there, we don't currently have, right? Building maintenance, or what are you gonna call this? What's going in there?
Insert property maintenance department.
Property maintenance department. So you said we don't currently have that.
I don't know if it's specifically called that or not. We have a building official. Mr. Newmeyer, in the room, do you have the exact specific language for the name of your department?
We're the building department, or the official building department. We take care of property maintenance code, building codes, Michigan building code, Michigan residential codes. It's all under the state. The state adopts the codes, and they send all the codes to us, and that's what we gotta follow.
And if there were litigation, because he's the enforcer and he's gonna, enforce the code, if there were litigation, who handles that for this particular one?
If there were litigation, it would be run through the city attorney's office.
So that's why I'm asking that he approve it so that if it ever did come to litigation and it comes back to him, that's where it is.
We will move on then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we need to raise your hand or roll call, because I couldn't hear a couple people. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? So motion is approved. 4-1. Thank you. The next one is regarding chapter 15 for elections.
Madam Mayor, before we, motion, keep in mind that we changed policy at the last meeting. We're no longer introducing with no discussion. We're introducing to, I think, read, is that what we did?
me to do a read.
Which doesn't necessarily mean you have to read it, right? It's more of an introduction of the ordinance so that you guys have the opportunity to discuss. Because as we had at the last meeting, sometimes I'm not getting the direction I need. And I'd like to take care of that up front before on the back end.
So we're on number 3.
Yes.
I'm writing on a motion. So Commissioner Brady.
Motion to introduce an ordinance amendment to chapter 15, elections, 15-1, election commissions of the general ordinance of the city of Lapeer.
Is there support? Support. Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Policeman. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion's carried.
We still have G4 easement coming up with consent agenda.
Yes. Report. Commissioner Brady.
I make motion to accept the permanent water and sewer line easements with all those letters and numbers that follow them as written.
Do you need them in the motion?
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Discussion? Commissioner Petrie.
I just have questions because I'm new and we got this Thursday evening and I'm not familiar with all the, the way they do all the easements and stuff. I just wondered if Mr. Graham could explain. I know that Popeyes is in the works, saw it in the paper, saw it at the meetings that I've been to, but I just wondered if you could explain, like which properties, where you're gonna put it, that the residents behind you aren't affected by that. I just would like a little bit more, if you could just explain to me.
Jeff, would you please explain?
This easement is gonna give access to the vet clinic there and the realtor's office there. It was part of the deal with the service drive to MDOT. They agreed with Popeyes, they would run sewer and water main back there to help support those businesses, allow them to have one entrance and out. And it also loops our water main through there. And it will give more access to future business growth in that area.
Nothing behind it, nothing behind those where there's residents, just in those two businesses, the real estate and the vet.
This easement will be affecting probably 4 businesses. There's some future plans next to Popeyes there too. And then anybody on the backside, if they wanted to hook in, if they weren't hooked in, would have access.
Right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Okay, the first one in our packet. Oh, this is under the, all under the city manager's report. It's all yours, your floor.
Thank you. So I was channeling my inner Tony Sproul, thank you, sir. We got all these applications all kind of at the same time. We got the bike night one a week or 2 back. I'm still fairly new here. This is kind of my first go around with all these special events. It's my opinion that there is a bit of a disconnect between the policy of how we review and approve of these and how it's actually written down in the policy. So that's kind of why I put these all here, mostly for just discussion. Of course, council can approve whatever they want. But our policy says that any event that is being proposed and run by a for-profit business must pay all costs related to police, fire, DPW, and other city services. It does not appear to be what's been done in the past. So this bike night event is being proposed by a for-profit business in our downtown. And under existing current policy, that business should be paying for all of those costs. I believe we spend $350 to $400 each night for police services. There's probably some costs related to Department of Public Works, et cetera, et cetera. And so, Mr. Stroh, part of what we were talking about internally is if we're going to have a policy, it should apply fairly and equally to everybody. That's something I strongly believe in. And, you know, there's multiple ways you can look at all this. But the past practice appears to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I've only been here for a short time, that the city, by and large, does pay for most, if not all, of these costs, whether you're a for-profit event or a non-profit event or whatever. So there is a conflict between past practice, existing policy. So I need some policy direction from the city commission about how they want to proceed with that. Second of all, I think the city's application is just, and I've done these before in a different community, they're just very difficult to put together in such a way is that you get all the answers to all the questions you're looking for, right? Whether somebody's going to have a bike night or a puck dash or whatever, the questions are very difficult to get at the core of the matter of how can we support the event, keep our people safe, all these things, right? So I'd like to take a whack at maybe revamping the actual application itself. And see, there was another thing I want to get into. And then, yeah, so for the bike night, again, I've got a Kawasaki and a Honda. I'm not here to steal your bike night. I think everybody up here supports it. We know that it's good for the businesses. We want people in our town spending their money and being safe and having a good time. But the application, even after the second attempt, was not complete. Now, it's partially the city's fault. I'm not going to dispute that because it's a kind of a poorly done application. Perhaps it wasn't clear about what we're looking for. So Mr. Jankovic did contact me and submit a updated event application, but it still wasn't complete. So my hope was that Mr. Jankovic and I and staff can get together between now and the next meeting and have a meeting of the mind, say, hey, look, here's what we're looking for. Here's what we need to make sure that the commission can fully approve this and understand what's being proposed. I think the most egregious missing item right now is an event map. So, you know, I was joking with the mayor earlier that under the current proposal, if we don't know where that band is going to go, it could theoretically be set up on her front lawn and play until 11 o'clock at night. Because we just don't know. So we want to see these events give us the information so that we know we can keep people safe. We know that you're not going to have people, I don't even know, walking up and down M24 to get run over. And we don't know that if we don't have the knowledge to help make those decisions. Also, internally, we're going to make some changes about how we review these things and approve these things internally before we pass on to the city commission. So I appreciate all the comments. Obviously, you guys are very passionate about this. We did receive a ton of public comments, clearly organized effort. So whoever organized that, good work. But that's kind of where I'm at. I think we've got some policy changes that really need to occur to move the city forward in an easier, understand, better way. It's just one of those things. I was at a conference last week, so I didn't have time to do it last week. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I need some policy direction.
Madam Mayor.
So-
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We are the policymakers. We get to say how we do this. Now, I've never seen the policy. I've been on here. Have you ever seen this policy, Mr. Atwood? I don't know if you've ever seen the policy, but I've never seen a policy. I've certainly asked a couple questions before. How do we, what does that mean? And things like that. I've never seen the policy. I have asked for it by previous administration and never gotten any answers. So it does need an overhaul. I am absolutely not opposed to supporting all of our businesses and all of our events, whether it's a business, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's the chamber, and not because that's how it has been done and it's just been done that way. I don't think we should charge people for those because we haven't before. It's not something that, the way the policy says, nonprofits, we would split the difference with. Lapeer Days cost the city, I think it's $40-something thousand. I don't want to ask the chamber for $20-something thousand to put it on because the city has always supported that and never asked for a penny. I think the policy needs an overhaul. And I'm in favor of keeping no cost involved because if we haven't done it, why? I'm all for supporting the current policy the way it's written for these, but it's got to be fair all the way around. If we're going to require that of this one, then we have to require it of all of those ones. And that's not something I'm comfortable doing. The policy needs to change, and I don't want to charge these people that money because the city has always taken care of it in the past.
I think part of it is that our city manager wants some direction. I've agreed.
Absolutely.
With what we've done in the past. Maybe the application process does need to be changed. Maybe some of the in-house needs to be changed. But for budget purposes, our city staff need to know if we're gonna continue the policy the way it's always been, and we need to build those costs into the budget. Commissioner Brady.
I guess I would be the opposition on this one. I like the policy. I thought it was clear. If you're a city-sponsored event, if we want to put on an event, we're going to pay our people. If it's a co-sponsored event, we can match funds. So if we want Lapeer Days, we have some policy to consider. We're going to be bringing thousands upon thousands of people into Lapeer Days. So of course we want to protect them. We're going to cover the bill for that. We don't necessarily have to charge the chamber for Lapeer Days under the policy that it already is. Where you go into the nonprofits and the for-profits, it seems to be just as clear to me. You can charge 50% to a nonprofit. We could charge the chamber at 50% if we wanted to, or we could co-sponsor with the chamber if we wanted to. So I don't think that anything necessarily needs to change in that regard. Policies are put in place after lots of deliberation. And just because we have a problem now doesn't necessarily mean we need to change the policy. I'd say that we should follow the policy until we can see that it's not working. It's like, it's not working because nobody's enforcing the policy, in my opinion. This particular event that's caused the hullabaloo today is a for-profit, in my opinion. That's the way it was filled out after we gave direction to the event organizer that he changed it from a city-sponsored event to a for-profit event. I think that's accurate. I think that's accurate. Since there's contention between businesses and whether or not this is profitable for everybody, I think it's a part of the accounting of the event organizer to account for whatever the bill is going to be, just like paying for a band or just like any of the other thoughts that go into planning an event. You have to budget your costs. You have to see. My calculations would say if this is going to cost from the city's end, if he's going to have to pay $600 and there's 200 attendees, he's got to figure out how to get $3 from every person who shows up in revenue just to break even. And I'm not willing to make decisions for Mr. Popovich or any of these people. I'm not interested in planning city events. I just know that we have a road and he's asking us to close the road. He's asking us to set up barricades and dumpsters and whatever else needs to get put in place for an event. And those are the things that should be accounted for. That would be for everybody. In my experience, I'll be brief. In my experience, I've run nonprofit events and I've rented city pavilions for my nonprofit events and I've paid every penny of it. Even though probably according to policy, I should have only paid half of it. I think what we have is outlined clearly for everybody to see.
It is outlined. I just want to make the comment. Well, it's not just the past commission, the last 4 years. It's been 20 years that I can remember that this is kind of how it's been. And we did make and talk about like Lapeer Days and made the understanding that yes, we want this event and some of the others. want you guys
So
to know
we could
that.
co-sponsor events
So that
as we
it-
choose to.
But it's always, apparently we weren't following it. We did not know as a commission, not just this last commission. For whatever reason, so I have a problem with changing it in between, but some changes perhaps need to be changed.
So I'm,
Petrie.
I
I'm
feel
sorry.
like, I think the policy two is great. What I'm taking away from all these comments were, when this first started, this is what I heard. When this first started, everybody was gung ho. It was a huge event. Everybody loved it. It was collaboration. And I'm hearing they'd like collaboration again and somebody else to run it. Now, I'm not suggesting that the city run it or even the DDA. I don't know who should run it, but it does sound like collaboration and the cost of all of it and the decisions made in all of it be collaborative.
Okay, you need to talk about the policy itself. Bike night will be on the agenda under number 8.
Oh, okay.
According to the agenda.
Well, I think
So we're on policy to go down the line.
I agree with Stefan that the policy is in place. I'm not saying that maybe, it maybe needs to be more clear in certain areas, but, it's up to the people putting their application forward as to what category they're gonna put it in, nonprofit, profit. I think the policy is, clear. It may be the way it's been interpreted. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's accepting the applications. I don't know who.
Okay, well, we're on number 1.
Mayor
Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Wilson.
I don't want to address bike night here, I just want to address the policy. And as I was reading through it, I was looking at the hierarchy or the priority. And I think that it's a really good policy that we follow. I just don't think that the policy has been followed well. That there's been just kind of like the handshake maybe on things. Not that people were trying to do anything that was wrong. It's just that they're thinking like Mayberry. So I like the policy and I would like to see it for all organizations, we follow the policy as it is. Or tweak it to what works best for the city. But right now, I think it's pretty good and maybe just need to be tweaked and have a little more direction. But I like the policy on how they prioritize things.
Mr. Womack,
Well, I mean.
this is your section.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard obviously 2 different versions. Policy exists the way it is, and I guess my concern is less about the policy. The policy can work the way it's written. My bigger issue is about the application. The application is poorly done. And we're not getting the information that we need, and to be fair, staff has done a poor job. I don't know if it's interpretation so much as following the policy as it's written. And again, maybe that was a part of the previous administration where, we want events. And if we're gonna look the other way, maybe a little bit on some of these policies to bring events in, maybe that's the way it worked. I'm not that kind of guy. I need policy. I will enforce the policy. And so if the commission wants this policy or another policy, great, we'll do that. But, Mr. Brady, to your point, you're right. If you're a for-profit event and you're selling raffle tickets and vendor booth space and this and that, blah, 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 why should the city be subsidizing that if the profit is going to go into the pocket of one business? And again, I'm not making a policy decision, I'm just commenting on it.
When we say city though, we need everyone to know that it isn't this building, it's the taxpayers' money. And we raised our hand and swore to do the best thing for the city. And so we're trying to keep in mind too, how we're spending the people's tax dollars. So if we do that for one, I'm guessing one for-profit, then we have to say yes to every for-profit if they want to close the streets and have us do it. So we have to consider everybody, we can't just consider one. So it's not this building saying the city's paying for it, it's the taxpayers' money, so we have to consider how the taxpayers' money is being spent.
All right, well, I mean, I don't think I have the most clear understanding of what the city commission wants, but maybe we'll have a little bit more moving through. You guys discuss these events. I mean, we have a policy in place and we have a past practice in place. So, Madam Mayor, would you like to actually discuss number one?
In a second. Commissioner Glistman has.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the application process again. As an events coordinator for many, many years, I believe in soup to nuts kind of application. And the application has many different areas that you fill in legibly, correct dates, no crossing out. That it has, because it's a contract. So that the application process is very important to me and should have as much details as possible. And I would be more than happy to sit down with the city manager and go over some of the details that I think are important.
Commissioner Elway.
Mike kind of mentioned what I was gonna say was I think it's more the application needs to be revamped. I think this was 2005, maybe, the last time when it took effect. I did notice some things with an event last year, and I tried bringing it up. I think people are just not checking the right boxes when it comes to these events. And I think I mentioned working on something. It was a year ago. I mentioned it somewhere along the line about how we need to work on our application. The policy can be looked at and see if maybe words here and there need to be changed or revamped or something like that. But I think it just needs a good revamping.
First time shot with policy.
Yeah, I really looked at it last year. There was an event that was checked, a city operated event, and I'm like, why is that checked a city operated event? When it's a for-profit event.
Yeah, I mean, the application, I'm not even sure why we have that box on the application. Check here whether you want free services or not. I mean, come on. I think part of the application asks, do you want free parking? Right. When's the last time we had parking meters in the city?
Oh, we got rid of that.
I'm sure the bikers would love that, right? Yeah, I mean, so, I'm not a policymaker, so you guys can go any which way you want. The policy as it exists can probably be very workable. Now, I understand that this event is put together by a for-profit business, but I think it's probably pretty easy to get other businesses involved for the inclusivity. You know, I spoke with the other business owners in the downtown, and they expressed that they did want help, and that they've been shut out. You know, the more businesses, what's the old expression? Rising tide raises all ships, right? If all businesses are involved and they can start helping pay for, you know, do the other things, maybe that's where we co-opt and say, hey, look, because all the businesses are involved, you know, maybe it's a co-sponsored event with the city, we're not going to pay, or we're going to pay for the services. So I think if you look at the actual policy, because my issue is with the word co-sponsored. This is page 4 of the policy. The city may co-sponsor certain events with other organizations when the city commission determines that the event is of general interest to the public and advances the city's public image. So bringing a couple hundred bikers into town to spend money and having a positive family atmosphere, I think that kind of meets the definition.
I thought we were gonna start it with special event.
Sure, I apologize. I'm going on my rant.
Yeah, and I'm pulling you back. So we talked about the policy, we talked about the application, so. Now you wanna bring up the
Yeah, sorry.
first one.
I keep forgetting this is my time. You guys have to sit here and suffer and listen to me talk.
Yeah.
All right, so I asked the clerk to pull off all these from the consent agenda. I think they were all there previously, mostly because I was at the conference last week and I didn't have a chance to myself personally review all these. But I want to make sure that they're following policy, or the policy that you guys gave me tonight. So the East Lapeer Farmers Market, this occurs in the Tractor Supply Company's parking lot. I'm not familiar with the event.
This
It's
is
brand
new.
new.
So I have been trying to work with the other farmers market, the downtown, which I'd like to bring back up on the Nefasing, and I'm working on that. But yeah, I guess I presented to you guys for comments at this time. If you guys have any comments, of course, you guys can always vote to approve these things if you want, but at this time I'm only asking for discussion.
Their application has come in. Commissioner Brady.
This one in particular, I was looking up, they're a 501c3, but they're a special type of 501c3. And their 501c3 is Friends Helping Friends. And I just wonder, with our discussion of the other farmers market really being operated as a for-profit, I'm just wondering how a farmers market is a nonprofit. Unless you look at it as the idea of a nonprofit can just promote itself. They're collecting money in order to continue the work that they're doing.
Well, they can apply, anybody could apply for a nonprofit, and it's up to the state.
Yes.
Nonprofit organization,
Yes.
if you meet
Yep.
your guidelines, so apparently that they've done this.
Yep. And
Our
well, this
local one has not.
and this one in particular isn't costing. They're not requesting any costs to the city. So I think I think that they've checked the box correctly, that they are a nonprofit event. But I don't know that it wouldn't even matter about policy because they're not, it's 50% of nothing.
No
Right.
police court costs, no closing the road costs. One thing I did notice about this, and this is a city policy problem, I think. We appear to still require events to get an insurance certificate named the city additionally insured, even if they occur entirely on private property. And I'm not quite sure why that's been the policy. It was not the policy in my previous community. Now, it's a minor additional cost for an insurance certificate, it's like $30. But that's one of those things I was gonna take to the city attorney and say, hey, is there a reason we're doing it this way? It's just one of those minor little things that if it's not really a necessity for the city, why are we doing it?
But may also save our bacon.
Sure. And we'll go with what the city attorney says.
Yeah.
Well, this one was on the agenda, so a motion could
Well,
be made later. How you want to?
so I'll just say
It's
one
kind
more
of
thing.
different that it's under manager's report. under
Yeah,
the
sorry.
consent.
This
Now
is
you're
screwing
throwing
everything
me
up to the
off.
public. One additional thing I would say, and this is coming from my previous community, is that we never approved of these events at the first reading. And the reason for that is we want the public to have the opportunity to also review the thing, come in, tell us what they think. Because, we're not total geniuses all the time on all this stuff. There are things that we may miss, things we might not know about. So I don't know if the commission wants to adopt that different policy, but for the time being, I've only put it in discussion purposes.
What's the pleasure of the commission? Commissioner Brady.
Being that this is a brand new event, I would like to follow Mr. Womack's suggestion and table the special event East Lapeer Farmers Market until our next meeting.
Not sure we necessarily have to.
What's
table
the
a
next
motion.
meeting, the date?
The 20th,
The 20th.
to Tuesday.
There's no motion
There's no
on the
motion.
table, do we?
No motion is necessary, I guess. You can motion if you want.
We could all just nod and.
But if it's your
But it is-
report, do we even
Disagree
have
with
to
each other.
table it? Like,
But it
it's
isn't in the
for
whole
discussion.
packet. So what do you do with that? You have to say
It's up for
something.
discussion only, it's not, I mean, I don't, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing my best.
Since
We have
it's
it all in
on
the packet.
in the packet, and it's also part of the manager's report. How should we handle this
Well,
according to
I believe everything that I.
the regulations?
My city manager's report also appears in the packet. There's no reason I can't provide you guys with information.
Okay. So keep it for your information then,
And I'll come back at your next meeting.
and we got to the next meeting. Next one
Food Truck Festival.
is the food truck.
City
We
Lot
know about
5.
that.
So I believe this is a chamber event. Again, I just asked the clerk to pull everything off of approval because I want to take another look at it because we're at the conference. One particular issue here is I believe on that last September 9th event date, there's a possibility that that's going to be a construction zone. And I wanted to get with the chamber to talk with them about an alternative location before we approve the event. Because, fingers crossed, we might have that parking lot taken care of as quickly after Lapeer Days as humanly possible.
Madam Mayor, this is probably going to you, Mr. Womack. I would also my question is, they rented pavilions, and if we're treating them as a nonprofit according to the policy as it's written, whether they would need to pay half of the cost, or I guess when it's presented to us again, I'd like to know whether it's as a nonprofit or as a co-sponsored.
I'm not sure if
What was it in the application?
That was the page that came second, and I think it.
There was only 300
Well, I hate to put-
305 pages.
I hate to put it this way, but just because they mark it as co-sponsored doesn't make them co-sponsored either.
Where that would be more like our box that we would come in
Probably how it
afterwards.
was
That's
done
my
in the
opinion.
past.
Yeah.
So that's part of the policy
That's part of the
that we
application.
have.
Well,
That's
so-
part of the application.
Yeah, so, like I said, the policy,
Sorry.
so the policy does define what co-sponsored means. And I guess maybe this is one of those questions of whether the staff or the commission members are the ones who are proposing that it be a co-sponsored event.
When the application comes in though, we have to make sure that we are in sync with what they say in terms of if it's co-sponsored or not.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just part of that growing pains. If we have a policy and trying to sort it all out, and, I have a good working relationship with the chamber. I'm sure we'll be chatting here shortly.
Oh, yeah.
This is just marked as a nonprofit.
It's marked as a nonprofit.
Correct.
So
I
according
wonder if we
to the
can
policy
approve.
as it is, they would need to pay 50%.
I wonder if we can approve at least part of this and then work with the September 9th commissioner out.
Yeah, the other part I was gonna bring up is the application does bring in some confusion because it's, if the applicant checks the wrong box and then we approve it as such, then we have a policy to uphold. And so we have to figure out how to, not to make this complicated, but how to work with the applicant, making sure that, that we're all in agreement of how things proceed forward.
Yep.
And I think that has to kind of do with the application and
So,
communication.
yeah, so we'll start with the application. I think the information that we're looking for is not being presented in a logical fashion, that when you look at it, you should be able to understand what's being asked or commented. But also, the way these have been reviewed and then submitted to the commission in the past, I don't think had enough eyes on them. I think we need to have more staff taking a look at it before it gets to the commission. And part of that would be, hey, Ms. Payne, I want to talk to you about your event. I see you're missing or whatever. Let's take a more proactive approach.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Brady.
do we need to give Mr. Womack direction to revise our application? And then I guess as a follow-up, is that gonna mess up all of these other events that are on the table?
It's going to if you don't make a decision on those.
So I don't think they need direction to fix the application itself. That's something that staff uses internally to get the information we need. The policy is what I need direction on, and for right now, proceeding forward as though the policy's in place. Now, there's a question of whether we could, finagle a way to make these co-sponsored or go with past practice until we sort something out. I'm just not ready to make that, proposal today.
Commissioner.
I just wondered, Mike, on the policy, what do you see that you think this would be more beneficial to the city and the applicant, that you think if we tweaked it, if we did this, it would be more beneficial to the city and the applicant?
The policy itself?
Yes. What's your thoughts on it?
So like I said previously, it's less about the policy, in my opinion, it's more about the application itself. But one thing in particular I'd like to get rid of is free parking for special events. We don't have parking meters. There's this whole special event review committee, which as far as I know, has not actually been in operation. There's a whole section about low hazard, moderate hazard, high hazard, severe hazard. There is no policy direction within that that dictates how we should be treating applications differently from one another based upon those designations. So I'm not trying to get rid of the good parts, I'm trying to get rid of the stuff
I
that's
just
not
wonder
being
if
used.
we do need a review committee, that would take care of it. Because they could, I'm just,
Commissioner
we are,
Wilson, thank you. I just want to clarify something. Under city manager's report, we have all of these events, but these are open for discussion, and we're not voting on any of these today because it gives 2 weeks for anyone in the city who wishes to add information for this. That's what I thought you said.
Again, this is your guys' policy, you know, I take direction from you guys, but in my previous community, we always looked at them twice. I wasn't here when these came in, I didn't get a chance myself to review these.
Okay.
I think there's problems with the policies and the applications. I just think there's a better way to move forward. Now, I'm not gonna try to make everybody redo what's been submitted. My hope is I just call everybody up tomorrow and say, hey, here's the information I'm looking for, submit that, you're probably good to go. Yeah, I mean, I want to get these approved. I don't want these to be lingering. I want these events to occur, but I think with existing policy, we just have to make sure that the applicants are submitting the appropriate information.
Okay. In your opinion, waiting 2 weeks to approve these, is that too long?
I've never found an event organizer that said, oh yeah, I'd love to wait 2 more weeks, right?
Yes.
Everybody wants everything approved right now, all the time. I don't see it as a problem to make them wait 2 weeks for an event that's going to occur in August. But, you know, I think opinions would differ. Again, your guys' policy, if you want to approve these events, I just don't think we're following your own policy doing that.
I would prefer to wait.
Commissioner Petrie.
well, we have in the policy a special event review committee. You said we haven't used that. Who was it? What was it? And could we reinstate that? Then they could handle all of this.
It was
If the review
city
committee,
staff, it was none of us.
So it says city manager, assistant to the city manager, who doesn't exist, police chief, fire chief, director of public works, director of parks, recreation, cemeteries, and the planning director. Planning director, as you know, is a third-party consultant and is only here 2 days a week.
Show you that. How old it was, because we did have.
Now, if you're asking what I would do instead, I don't know if the assistant to the city manager needs to be involved. Fire chief does, the police chief does, DPW probably does, and depending on whether it occurs in a park or not, probably the parks department. Planning director, I'm not sure how much interest he has in helping with this.
Commissioner Swindell.
So, right, we're not doing what the policy says. Clearly, we're not doing anything much like the policy says. And we haven't in so many years, I can't remember, and I've been coming since around 08-ish. And the policy versus the practice has been we've done it this way for so long. Now to go back to the DDA, the chamber, who are nonprofits, and ask them to pay half the cost of these things. Maybe if we change it a little up and we want to do those things, let's say, okay, but you've got yours in already. We're not going to change it after you already did your planning for the year, did your budgeting for the year. And I'm sorry that we paid that 40-something grand or 50 grand or whatever every year before now, but now you're gonna have to go ahead and pay 25. And you didn't budget for that? Sorry. Like, that seems like not a very nice thing to do to nonprofits that are on shoestring budgets already. To go, oh, by the way, we're enforcing this now. 25 grand, please. I don't think that's fair.
So as some of the commission members have pointed out, we are using the public's money.
For everything?
When we pay for stuff, that is money that's coming out of the
Correct.
pockets of the public.
Right,
So
but nonprofits pay half, right?
I'm finding some false dichotomy in your claim that we should say, oh, well, I'm sorry that we have a policy, we need to make you pay 25% or $25,000, because who else is gonna pay for it?
Previously, every year until now, the city has.
And the
Because
city-
we weren't,
Well, what we paid for was police and.
right,
fire
for our own
protection.
services, for the city services, for them to pay the city for the city services. But half of whatever the chamber would be when they haven't had to pay it previously would be a really big check.
Madam Mayor, my understanding of the policy, it would be entirely possible for us to co-sponsor the event if we chose to and not charge any money.
Correct, and that's how it also was voted on several years ago, for a few days,
I-
and
I'm in
maybe
favor
a
of
few
that.
others,
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
because it does affect. a
For the
huge
safety of the people on the street, I think it makes a lot of sense.
amount of people in the community, it's not just the city of Lapeer, but it's surrounding areas as well.
I don't think that necessarily applies to every event just because it happens to take place on the street, though. There's a difference between Lapeer
Yeah, I
Days
understand.
and other, and food truck event, even though they're put onto the same organization. Street closure, parking lot, how much DPW has to do, it's all different. So we should treat them as individual. We should categorize them individually, I hope, as the policy says.
Are you referring to when an event application is put in and it's brought before you, you're gonna discuss each and every one of those, correct?
Sure, I think Lapeer Days could come and say, please sponsor, co-sponsor this with us, and then we would make that decision.
Just want to make sure that you and I understood what you were saying.
Madam Mayor,
It's just what-
as being all up in some nonprofits as I am, and in the books and everything else, these changes sound great and these decisions sound great, but what if the people who, they don't budget for it, they come and they ask us in January, yes, this doesn't happen until August. Nita just told us she's gotta write some big checks for deposits, like right now, not in 4 weeks from now, right now. Or she's gonna lose that vendor, or she's gonna lose that thing that she has paying to come in, whatever it is, right? There's a lot that goes into that, a lot more than any of us know. And, yes, but do we say all nonprofits can be city sponsored? Or we're gonna decide base by base, or like the chambers in Lake Flynn and these ones we have to decide in front of the chamber or the commission? Or, the review committee should be whatever whichever departments they need. If they need police, fire, DPW, that's who should look at it. If they don't need, fire doesn't need to look at it, there's no fire plan, then it's only the police chief that looks at it, or, it doesn't need to go around the room, they're busy enough to review things or have to meet about things that don't affect them in any fashion, or they don't need to put that in, their 2 cents in. Doesn't make sense to ask the parks director to look at something downtown when he doesn't have to plan for it, or,
Correct.
Right.
Well, it is up to the commission on how you want to handle what's before us on the applications that were submitted to my knowledge. Recommendation, of course, it was that East Lapeer Farmers Market, that decision has been made. The food event trucks was there, I think fireworks, of course, Lapeer Days. The Rubber Duck Dash was there, Fantasy Forest was there. Issue of Christmas, everything was there in our packet.
My understanding was Mr. Womack was asking for us to delay the food truck event because of the parking lot construction potential. Are we then going on to the next one by one?
Or September 9th. right?
That was just for September.
Just for
9th.
September 9th.
I'm saying you can
Probably approve
take
it.
a look at it and then figure out where September 9th is going to be.
I'm regretting just a little bit putting this in this community report.
I like it.
I mean, if you're looking for recommendation, my recommendation is that we table all these, not by motion, but just by action until the next meeting, so that I can reach out to all these organizations. I can get them to submit the information that staff wants to see to make sure that these events are safe. And then the commission can make a decision at their next event, whether it's a co-sponsored event or not. I mean, we're talking about a policy, like I read earlier, that is of general interest to the public and advances the city's public image. That's not my call. Now, other communities who I've talked to about this, they'll say something like, if it brings in 50 or more people, it's doesn't have gambling, pornography, lewdness, etc. And then they just add a couple of minor requirements that's the threshold you have to get to before you can consider co-sponsor. And then we go back to the past practice, as Ms. Wendell indicated. The past practice has been that most events have been paid for by the city. And that's not only do we want to promote events in this community, and Mr. Abbott, I apologize, I'm staring at you while I talk. But you know, the police officers,
Not to shine.
the police officers and the firefighters in the downtown are also promoting a positive image by being at these events.
Right.
They talk to the kids, they hand out badges, all sorts of things. So it's not always necessarily about a for-profit business. I think there's different ways you can look at it. But that's my recommendation. We table everything until the next meeting. Give staff the opportunity to reach out to these event organizers, make sure we got everything, all our ducks in a row. Bring it back, I'll put it on the consent agenda so we don't have to talk about it.
Don't like your way so much, do ya?
Well, I mean, this had to occur. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The application's in poor shape,
It needs
the
to be
policy, I need direction on, et cetera. And frankly, I can't recommend we approve events that submit half completed applications.
Well, Commissioner Brady.
These folks came out tonight to share their opinions, and I'm thankful that they did. Do you feel like you've had enough input from the commission with our concerns?
So I think so specifically regarding bike night, and again, everybody I think up here is giving their support to it. I think I need an event map, which was missing from the application. Then I need to know whether this event is a co-sponsored event or a for-profit event or whatever for cost sharing regarding police services. You know, and again, I'm not a policy decision maker, so I don't get a vote on this, but does this event, let's see here. Is it of general interest to the public, and does it advance the city's public image? I think we got plenty of public comments here about, you know, people bringing their kids down, and kids are getting to play on the bikes. And Mr. Chief Howell, do we have any problems with this event?
No.
So I don't see it as projecting a negative image, but that's your call, not mine.
Commissioner Brady.
I think it would be also fair to hear some of the voices of other business owners that were concerned maybe with the frequency of the event. I understand from what I've heard that it's got to be Friday, that Thursday is just not an option, as the event planners have put it forward. But I just wonder, as a part of our decision-making and maybe to save and get this event to actually be able to happen, if every Friday is something that we're looking for. I'll say my thing. I don't think that every Friday is a reasonable expectation for shutting down the road. I don't know if, that's just me. I'm one of 5 people, but it may be useful for the event planner to at least consider bringing an array of options, or really working closely with Mr. Womack about getting an event that can get approved, because I would like to see it approved.
Problem with not having an event like that on every night is it's confusing for when you're running in the public.
Yes, I agree that there are trade-offs. I think that's the voice that I heard was trade-offs should be considered.
I guess we don't need to make a motion. I think we need to move on. There's still under your manager's report, besides events, there's the number 9 and 10.
Yep.
And maybe
So-
11. So,
So Madam Mayor, would it be fair that we've done bike night, and if citizens were here for that, they could leave at this time if you wanted?
Would you be open for any more public comment?
We are at the
at
appropriate
the end,
time.
there's public comment again.
So just, sometimes people like to leave when their thing is done, so we wouldn't be offended. So number 9, proposed community center policy changes. I bring it to you guys for discussion. I think the 2 major changes, and again, Mr. Church helped me with this because I was at the conference. I've had multiple discussions with police, fire, parks, all sorts of people, the schools, about how we can make the center safe. There was some hullabaloo a while back about, alleged violence at the center, which of course, not to belittle or minor the point, but that stuff can occur anywhere. We can only adopt policies to help make things safer. We can never make things infinitely safe. But 2 of the major changes that we were proposed to make is we increase the minimum age that somebody would be permitted to be at the community center on their own, alone. And also that we would require all persons entering the facility to have, I believe, photo ID and/or a profile on a file with the city. I believe minimum age is 10 at this time. So we talked to a number of other facilities. And the age range was anywhere between, I think, 13 and 16 or 13 and 18. So just for discussion purposes, we proposed, I believe, minimum age of 13 years old. And then also that we require all persons, including day pass people, to have a profile on hand with the city for emergency contact, photo, et cetera. So I'd like some policy direction on this, please.
I'd like to hear from the commission on your thoughts, if you want our city manager to come up with a change this policy. Commissioner Brady.
Yeah, I fully support the 2 changes that you made. I think they're great. Low cost, common sense kind of like minimal change put in, requiring everybody to have their face on file. It just provides that level of security, not only for the people, but also for ourselves and being able to identify any troublemakers. That way they can't just scoot out and avoid trouble. So I'm in support of both of those.
I'm also in support of those, and photographs would help. You have a 13 or 14-year-old who gets hurt, they don't necessarily, might not still have their ID on them, and we have to contact somebody in the photo ID. I'm assuming it's also going to be a computer to look up the people. And I think 13 is a good age. I think younger than that, as a former teacher, 13 is a good age for minimum.
Okay.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yeah, leave one.
So so the kids 13 to 18, their parents have to come in, I want to drop and run, right? Do their parents have to come in, sign for them, submit the thing in the emergency contact? Or can a 13-year-old roll up with his school ID and say, yeah, this is my emergency contact? And make their own profile, or is that like a parent thing, or?
Yeah, so.
Like the first time, mom's gotta come, parents gotta come in, guardian, whatever, sign them up, make their profile, then you can drop and run.
So probably appropriate to have the parents involved from age 13 to 17. Because nothing which is not needed to your discussion here is we still probably, in a lot of places do this, have a bit of a good behavior contract with these young people where we lay out, you can't get into fights, you can't be stealing stuff, which seems like common sense, but apparently it's not. So we want that young person to be there with their parent so that they hopefully know that there's consequences to their actions too. But yeah, that would be my intention. Anybody between the ages of 13 and 17 who are minors would have to have a parent involved.
For the initial,
Correct.
just that. After that, you can roll up with your school ID, pay your money, and you're in. So I guess my other question is, then, I didn't read the rec center rules. Not ever have I read the rec center rules because I didn't plan on misbehaving while I was there, just other places. So, if you're at the rec center and you get in a fight and uprolls our fine Lapeer police officers and hauls you away, you know, what are your consequences? If you commit assault in our building, you may never come back. If the 12-year-olds or the 14-year-olds now are playing basketball and one elbows one and gives them a bloody nose and a black eye, I turn around and punch them. Sometimes that's how basketball works. And testosterone is an evil, evil thing with teenagers. It is. Teenage testosterone, as the mother of surviving raising 4 boys, it is evil. So is estrogen, though, equally. However, is there like this thing you're out for 30 days, and this thing you're out for 60 days, and this thing you're out forever? Like, is there some sort of, like you said, yep, this is how I expect you to act when you're here, and you and your parent guardian have to both sign it if you want to come in here. But what are those consequences? Is it like you commit assault, you don't come back?
So I haven't tied the hands of the director of staff over there.
Okay.
Mr. Tripp is great at what he does. I'm certain that if there was a decision that had to be made in that way, we consult with myself, and we may go to the city attorney, police chief, all sorts of folks. I think there's a whole range of options.
Right, I just wondered if it wasn't laid out like that already in some fashion, like first offense, you can't come back for like, I just didn't know how.
Rodney, did you answer? Commissioner Swindell.
I mean, we don't have a blanket disciplinarian thing.
Right.
We try to treat each case by case.
Right.
We have a whole long list of banned people in our facility. We've had it since 1995.
Right.
So we try to, take each case by the situation and make a determination from there. So, if it's a minor, it's the adult that we talk to. We send them letters in the mail. We have files on our computers if they're being handed the mail out of them. And then obviously, if they're suspended for 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is, they have to have a meeting with myself. At that time, we would make the determination if we're going to hold them back.
Okay.
It all depends on the situation.
Thank you.
Was there consideration for homeschooled kids that don't have a photo ID or date ID?
So this kind of goes back to your parents should be involved in the first place. If a parent's going to tell us, hey, we don't have any kind of ID for a kid, but they're there, they're getting the kid's picture taken on the, I don't know what the system's called, but we're not going to bemoan the fact that they get a public school ID. We find homeschool kids by and large are well behaved, and they will have their picture on file. So as long as they have, I assume we give them a number, right? That they would come in and say, my number is, their picture pops up, no big deal. I think the photo ID issue is for day pass only people, correct? Yeah.
Okay. So the student would just, with their parent, get their picture on file?
That's my understanding. Yeah. So for what it's worth, I'm feeling good support, which I appreciate. Nice change. So our intention was originally to roll this out February 1st. Obviously, things are moving a little bit slow in the management world. That's how it is. But I will bring this back to you guys for final approval at your next meeting, and then we're going to roll it out ASAP. So when's our next meeting? Mid-February? So probably by March 1st, we're going to probably be looking at instituting this policy.
Okay.
Parking lot number 5 concept discussion. Sorry, Madam Mayor, I stole your thunder there. So as I alluded to earlier, this is one of the biggest things I'm trying to work on. We've got a couple of different concepts. There is a bit of, discussion right now about which way we move forward. So the city engineer has been very kindly sitting in the audience, which we appreciate. If you have any questions of him, we do have a quote right now for, I believe it's $185,000 to do a 2-inch overlay on this entire property. It'll probably go down slightly from that because we included areas that we now do not intend to pave. We also have the Parks Department who could speak to the bioswale area, which we have a $50,000 grant to move forward on. And Mr. O'Meara, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to read the most recent emails. I'm about 87 emails back today.
Okay.
So if you'd like to, since you waited all this time, come up and kind of give us a brief discussion about what's going on.
Well, I'm Paulo O'Meara from Rowe. From my understanding, Mr. Womack is just that they saw the concept plan, but none of the other background material.
Okay. Yes.
So there's the idea of overlaying the existing lot, which we do not recommend because the existing pavement, as you probably noticed, is shot. So putting new asphalt on top of old asphalt is going to fall apart, would not be a good investment. So we're recommending it be rehabbed completely, grinding up the existing asphalt, using that as a base, and then putting new asphalt on top. And everybody seems to be of the impression that there's more pavement out there than you really need. So we're looking at suggesting, like the plan shows there, that those 2 rows of spaces closest to the river would be removed and turned into green space. So you could have an asphalt trail on the west side, and on the east side there could be a stormwater quality improvement area. So that huge amount of water that's flowing from the lot would be treated at least a bit before it gets into the river, and Eagle would appreciate that. So that's more in the range of $700,000 to construct that.
And so, just from my point of view, Mr. O'Meara's point is well taken. We have no guarantees that if we overlay it with 2 inches, how long it would last, what would happen. If it could be 1 year to start looking kind of the way it does now. On the other hand, to do it through engineering, you're looking at, what did you say, $700,000?
Right.
Does that include engineering costs? Or is that just a cost, a rough cost?
That's roughly including both.
Okay. Which is 3 times, is my math right on that? A little bit more than 3 times the cost of simple overlay. Now, I have no doubts, because Mr. O'Meara is good at his job, that he would get all the calculations correct. We would have proper drainage out there. And again, I'm not from the area, but I've walked through that area. It's fairly low land, it's wet. And again, I'm not the engineer you are, but I suspect a significant amount of the problem we have out there is due to wetness, either coming up from the ground underneath or poor drainage. So it's one of those things where we could do it 3 times for the cost of what Mr. O'Meara is recommending. But his is the professional. So I'll leave it to the commission on how you guys would like to proceed. And also, whether you like did they get the MS paint drawing in there or no? I don't think so. No, damn. So you guys got a nice drawing in there, not the paint drawing I put together. So whether you like the proposal of how we kind of got outlaid with the box.
So this is gonna come back, this is just discussion.
Well, I mean, so Mr. O'Meara stands ready for questions. You guys have any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, questions?
I do.
Commissioner Wade.
One of the main uses of this parking lot is during the pier days, they set up carnival rides on there. You're aware of that?
Yes.
What impact has that had? Do you think? Well, yeah. What impact has that had on it?
Well, it can be designed for truck traffic and be prepared for that. There is the issue of like setting up tents and driving tent stakes through and things like that. That needs to be regulated. Obviously, you want to try to avoid that.
I don't know how much they do tents in there because
Rides are.
the rides are anchored.
They have like plates, I think, to hold down the ride itself.
Yeah, but I know the other parking lot, there was a concern the Optimists were driving spikes down, so they mounted anchors, so their big tent can just be stuck to a permanent anchor. But I don't think that gets used. Don't they do all of the craft show on the grass? Right?
So
that you can walk the path there,
Yeah.
the trail.
My question is, it's in a floodplain, the whole city of Lapeer along the river, we're in a floodplain. Some years, sometimes it doesn't flood that whole parking lot for many years in a row, and sometimes 3 years in a row, the whole parking lot is underwater. You've been around here a long time, you are fully aware, right?
Yep.
So spending 200 grand or spending 700 grand is a lot of money. If we spend the 2 and it floods, we're only out 2. If we spend the 7 and it floods 2 years in a row, do we have to put in another $700,000 because it's in a floodplain, and when the water is coming up from under the ground because the ground can't hold it and there's 4 feet on top of it, to me, it seems like if it was my house, I'd just throw a layer on. The next time it fell apart, I'd throw another layer on or grind it up then, or cost effective wise, because we can't control Mother Nature nor the river, nor the rain, nor the snow melting, or.
Well, actually, putting in quality pavements in a floodplain is not abnormal. It happens on a regular basis, so.
Okay.
I'm more inclined to think that the existing asphalt's bad because it's probably 50 years old.
Oh my goodness.
How old?
I'm just guessing.
50, 50?
Yeah, I don't know how old it is because I haven't been here that long.
And how many times has it been resurfaced? Do you-
I don't know that. Anybody else know?
Thank you. I like the idea of reducing the size of the parking lot, putting in green space with, I'm assuming that the asphalt trail would be like for bikes or walking.
Right.
Is there anything else that you can do to avoid or help avoid the flooding?
No, actually, you've got to allow the flood because we're not allowed to put up barricades and stop the water or anything of that sort. You have to accommodate it.
It's just a lot of money.
Commissioner Brady.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Commissioner Swindell here. While it'd be cool to have the $700,000 fancy new, everybody would come and see it, there's a reason it's a parking lot. It's in a very unusable area. And even the area closest to the river doesn't get parked on all that much. Aside from Farmers Market and Lapeer Days event, there's usually we're not at capacity for parking by any means that we need to be focusing on parking it on that far end of town, in my opinion.
So with the 700,000, would you be working on because you have the top layer, but the most important part is what's underneath of that, the infrastructure underneath, how it's set up. Is the 700,000 work on the water, so it's not sitting? Or is it just getting rid of the asphalt and going on top of what's already there?
When you say water sitting, you mean like the average rain that just comes in the
Or
water
flood,
puddles?
or flooding.
No, it would be designed to drain properly so that it's working on a regular basis. And it would have a stable sub-base so that it's going to hold up many years into the future.
So would you say that the infrastructure underneath of that is just as important as what's on top?
Yes.
I kind of disagree with the 200,000. Because of that reason, it's just gonna deteriorate again. How long that lasts, there's no guarantee. But as an engineer would say, like, infrastructure underneath is just as important as what's on top.
Do we have an expectation of how, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just
a
gonna
resource
ask that question myself. If we were to go with the third round of the 700,000 or whatever it may be.
We always give it
What's your anticipated of how long it
it's
would last?
intended to be a 20-year service life, but likely be more than that.
And what about the resurfacing?
I think you'd see the cracks coming the next year. Not that it would be as bad as it is now, but it wouldn't last nearly as long.
Commissioner Wilson.
Do we have $700,000 for this?
Well, I mean, I'm sure the finance director is having heart palpitations because we spent how many hours in budget discussions this today? 7 hours? Your guys' job is to tell us what to do. We find the money.
Oh.
We make it work.
I have a philosophical comment to make. The history major here, the man who loves history, I was watching TV and it was about ancient Rome and they had a philosophy, SUB, Is it strong? Is it utilitarian? And is it beautiful? And I really like that philosophy for myself. So that's what I want to ask you. Is it going to be strong? Is it going to be very utilitarian? And can you make it beautiful?
I think so.
So either way, Mr. O'Meara would be involved in the process, because even if we go with the 185 quote, we still have Eagle permits, we still probably need design work on the actual bioswale, et cetera. But, again, this is a policy decision for you guys to make. 1/3 the cost, or better built at 3 times the cost.
Do you want us to make that decision tonight, or are you gonna present us with that?
I don't think we have I mean, obviously, if you tell me we're going $700,000, we're gonna bring a contract to you guys at the next meeting, if Kelly lets me. You know, and if you guys wanna go the 185 route, then I'm still gonna work with this gentleman to do all the stuff that we need him to do. But I need direction, that's what I need.
Commissioner Brady.
Are there any halfway in between? I know you're already compromising, like taking just that last end of the parking lot. Is that really as far, like, in your opinion, is that as far as we want to go with that parking lot?
So,
Reduction?
yeah, so this is the green space bioswale is a result of a $50,000 grant that we got, and the dimensions for parking spaces and driveways. So parking spaces, I believe in the city, are 18 feet long, 9 feet wide. Drive lane for a single lane of 18 foot and 2-lane direction is 24 foot,
Right.
both lanes. So you got 18 feet plus 24 feet, and that's what you see here. And then everything south of there of the river is green space bioswale.
Is there any way to build in pump track features? Sorry. I rescind my sarcastic
In your
comments.
front yard.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Listman. Well, he made me think, lose a comment, so I
Sorry.
guess I better pass. Yeah. When you brought it up.
I mean, if you guys don't want to make policy decisions, staff can come back at your next meeting and make our recommendation based on all the things. You know, this is not a one-man show. I'm certainly not going to impose my views on a recommendation. I'll be working with staff to make that recommendation, but, you know, at some point I'm shooting in the dark, and then you guys are going to say, oh, no, I wish you'd done the other thing, right?
Commissioner Glissman.
I remembered. Is there any other way for us to get money from grants if we add something to this green space to help offset the cost of $700,000?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we've been doing some searching too. There's really not much out there for this type of construction.
Is there a time, oh, sorry, is there a timeline on the grant that we received already?
I don't think there is, but this is, you know, it was a project that was high priority for the previous commission. Frankly, I think it's a high project for the city. So this is one of those things that I don't want to say desperate, but desperate to get done between now and July 1. But Lapeer Days is when?
August 16th, 17th, and 18th.
So maybe August 19th is when we actually start construction. So we got a line of funding for it. You gotta know what you guys want to do. So if without discussion or any direction, I'll bring you guys back a recommendation at your next meeting. And thank you, Mr. O'Meara, for being here with us.
Okay. Commissioner Petrie.
I think that the infrastructure underneath is very important, and the only thing that I can tell you is that when you paint your nails and you paint over chipped nails, that manicure doesn't last. And it hasn't been done. I know, I remember I was here when it was done and they made the new parking lot, and it's very close to 50 years. So I don't think putting 2 inches on it is worth, it's still a lot of money to have it looked at or possibly have a crack big enough that somebody falls and sues the city in. So let's do it correctly. I know it's more money, but I just think, do it correctly and let it last. What if it lasts more than 20 years? What if it lasts another 50 years?
So Commissioner Petrie wants you to, before vote, Commissioner Brady.
I can go either way.
Commissioner Glissman.
I'll go with a $700,000 redo.
Commissioner Swindle?
I like the idea of Mike bringing it back, so it's his fault if we don't like it.
So for what it's worth,
Well, you still can't, but
I know.
we're trying to
just
get
let
them
get-
to direct.
I know.
what you'll get is
I-
185 plus, I don't know what the difference is with 700, but there's all sorts of other things we can do with that money too. We're trying to do Court Street, we're trying to do Park Street, we're trying to do Pine Street, we're trying to do Hope Street. Those things cost money too.
And it was a joke, but it'd be worth maybe considering whether a pump track could be.
It can't. It's in the floodplain. We've already discussed it.
Oh, that's right.
You
So
call
it's-
me, honey, I'll explain.
Commissioner Atwood, what's your,
Yeah, so
which way are you leaning more?
I have my friend on the MML board ringing in my ear, he's an engineer, and he's always said, whenever you do road construction or anything like that, do the most important part of what's underneath. So I feel like for longevity, most bang for your buck would be this.
Your engineer wants us to go with the engineer? I'm shocked by that.
Yeah. Actually, I've heard that as well, for most of
They've done the
my
research.
adult life. And as much as I would love to spend money in other areas that need it, I think we have to fix it correctly. My vote is for 7. I don't have a vote, but my opinion is for 700.
So just say umbrage with the word correctly. Engineer, perhaps.
Well, whatever.
What, 50 years from now, you and I will have a discussion about whether it was done correctly.
Okay. See about that, but, okay. All right.
It's only 9:01. I'm sure my staff has been very happy with tonight's meeting. Thank you guys for sticking around. Various matters? No, not today. No, I'm good.
We just, okay. All right, so we just have a few quick things under unfinished business. The first thing, these are for board and commission appointments. I have done, I would like to have appointed Christopher Herr. He's attended our Downtown Development Authority retreat. He's come to meetings. And this was a recommendation from the full board for Chris, starting now through his term would expire January 1st. And I'd like to, commissioners to confirm that. Commissioner Brady.
You need a motion for this?
Yes.
Motion to accept the appointment of Christopher Herr to the DDA.
Second.
The motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Glissman. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Christopher will now be on the DDA. The next one is for the EDC, Tiffah Brownfield, William Marquardt. His current term expires March 1st. It's a 6-year term. So that expiration will be March 1st, 2030. And again, their board has recommended the reappointment.
Madam Mayor, for transparency purposes, do you know this individual?
I think I do. I do know, of course, and I don't have a vote on that, so I don't have to rescind myself. I just have to talk for him.
Just want to make sure that we're being transparent.
Yeah, okay. Everybody knows that. Right? I need a motion. I'd like to appoint William Marquardt. No. Maddie has to make that motion.
Madam Mayor, I move to reappoint William Marquardt to the EDC Tiffah Brownfield Board for a term expiring March 1st, 2030. Oh, that seems like a long ways away. 2030?
Okay, so motion was made by Commissioner Swindle. Is there support? Support. And supported by Commissioner Glissman. Is there discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we'll have to be at all those meetings. Okay, the next one.
I kind of feel like you're just trying to get them out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm up as early as that. Yeah. No, I. Yeah. Okay, Lapeer Housing Commission, we need to make a. Janelle, yeah, we have to rescind Janelle Acosta. from Lapeer Housing Commission, Lapeer Housing Board of Appeals, and Lapeer Neighborhood Inc. Would it be better if we do these all three together?
Yes.
So we can do these all three together.
So moved.
Commissioner Brady made the motion and Commissioner Petrie made the second. Discussion on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Janelle has been removed. And I do not know Brad.
He just threw it in the back room.
So he's a contractor.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Jacob.
Jacob.
Boom, that's what we call it.
Well, apparently he has offered to and wants this appointment. Commissioner Brady.
Motion to appoint Brad Chaka to the Lapeer Housing Commission, Lapeer Board of Appeals, and Lapeer Neighborhood Inc.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Petrie. Discussion.
Madam Clerk, would he simply be taking over the position of Mr. Costa and therefore her terms of office?
Correct.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Brad will now be on the Lapeer Housing Commission and Lapeer Housing Board of Appeals and Lapeer Neighborhood Inc. That's it for my appointments, and I don't see anything down here to see. I think we're good then. Oh, in your packet, of course, was all the communications that you had. So now we're back to public comments. Would anybody like to make a public comment at this time?
Can I go home now?
You must come to the podium to say so.
I do. I thank you guys for taking that serious consideration of the full parking lot redo versus the less expensive one. And I don't know if all the commissioners are aware, but that's city-owned property. The farmer's market's down there. Farmer's market used to be up on Nipissing. They were put down there, various reasons. And 5-6 years ago at this point, it was in the works to fix that up, put nicer wooden structures, sort of little cabin-like feels so you can walk in and do your shopping and stuff. I heard Mr. Womack say he's bringing the farmer's market back up on Nipissing. I think I heard that correctly. So I don't know what that means, but if the farmer's market was to go down there, the $700,000 would be a good, I think you could consider that part of the investment because it's a great little spot. I know the flooding, but I think the structures were going to be on the other side of the river, kind of, utilize the space as much as possible. And then lastly, I know maybe you guys don't get to look at all the ins and outs of paperwork and policy and documents, but Miss Mayor, you've been around for probably 15 plus years. You were a commissioner for many years. You probably should have known, along with Josh, been on the board here 8 years, what that policy says for events. So I just hope now that, this has happened. Again, unfortunately, it disparaged a few businesses, and that's really unfortunate, but maybe there can be a silver lining out of it, and you folks can learn more about those event procedures and application and make it right for the city. And lastly, I heard a few people say, it was great when Jim headed bike night. Well, there's a reason Jim didn't head bike night anymore. Jim's got a lot on his plate. He can barely head up the events he has. It would be so great to see that number of volunteers come to our car cruise, come to our Pocket Park for concert series, but we don't have that kind of volunteer for those events. So that's why the DDA doesn't do bike night anymore. Thank you.
Okay.
Deb.
Nita.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to mention a couple of things, and nonprofits are nonprofits and they have fundraisers to keep their doors open.
I can't pay you $20,000 to pay half of whatever that cost would be for Lapeer Days. Whatever half of the cost would be for police and fire for the fireworks, the $20,000 that I managed to scrape together goes into that fireworks show and pays for all of those shows. And we get like a 22, 23-minute show out of that because the cost has become exorbitant. Our insurance costs are outrageous for the different types of events that we do and the crowds that we bring. So some of those things would probably need to go away. And like I said, Lapeer Days helps keep our budget and keeps our doors open. Because until after Lapeer Days, we run in the red. So, and other nonprofits are the same way. They have fundraisers to help fund their programs and their endeavors. And we still have overhead of lights and gas, electric, and those kinds of things too, just like any other for-profit business. So, I mean, just, and for our permits, most things have been considered co-sponsored because the city did provide those services for the events because we do want to have them. And we do want to bring people to our downtown. So we don't have the money to be able to do that. I don't know any nonprofit that could just write you a check after an event for the amount of money that would take. I don't know what the answer is, but we don't have it in our coffer. So anyway, but thank you.
Thank you
for your time. And well, oh boy, there was the patience and all of the comments. This was a long meeting, but I thank you and I commend you for giving everybody a chance to speak and voice their opinion. And some obviously were very heartfelt. So thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Great day, by the way.
Sir.
I am with the nonprofit. I value exactly what that lady said. Also, one other thing, I was in the other room and I heard somebody bring up raffle tickets. As a nonprofit and somebody that sells raffle tickets here, I just would like for this board to remember, we're not selling tickets for a profit. We're selling tickets to support a nonprofit. So when you're thinking of budgets, please don't put that into that budget because I'm not selling that $25 ticket to put in my coffer. I'm putting it in a nonprofit's coffer. And it's easy to remember all the black and white, and sometimes we forget what we're doing it for. Please remember that, because that's really what you were all voted in for. Thank you.
Okay. Now we can, any other comment? I'm going to move on to commissioner comments, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Swindell. Hi there.
I wish we had this many people at every single meeting. I love that. Even if they come and say their piece and leave, I love that they're involved. I don't care what the issue is, if they're for or against the issue at hand. I love to have butts in the seats. I love to have people here. I love to have people involved. And that was just great to see. We have certainly ask all the businesses downtown. The chamber did a survey. The DDA also did a survey. In all of their mailing or in their email lists to all of the businesses, they got hit twice with the chamber and the DDA. And I think that if businesses wanted to say a piece, they certainly had their chance for 2 meetings and 2 different people emailing them as well. Those were passed along to us. We're good. Like we got all those correspondence, but it wasn't much response from the business owners. In as many as there weren't very many that participated. I love the little swale thing and the rain swale at the river and making it pretty and planting native plants, and my son does that for a living now. And I love that idea. I love the rain swale thing. You can, no matter what happens, the rain swale is going to be great. There was talk, right, about putting a farmer's market pavilion, maybe putting little huts. We don't have a nonprofit farmer's market, and we can't build stuff for people that aren't nonprofit, and that farmer's market is still for profit. So we can't put up structures for nonprofit, for business, for not nonprofits to use, unfortunately. Maybe that's a discussion we need to have, is we need to form our own farmer's market. Some cities do it and they do a great job with it. Carol's is amazing. If you've never been up there, you totally should. Thank you to Brad for volunteering for 3 different boards. I mean, that's a lot. It's hard to get somebody to serve on one, let alone 3 all at once at the same time. I've never done it before. That's great. I love it. And thank you to Bill, of course, for being on the things. And Chris, welcome to the DDA, because it's on the DDA. That's important. They own Axcadia. And that's it. I gotta pee. It's time to hurry. Okay, well, we're gonna move to Commissioner. Hurry.
First of all,
Take your time.
you may be excused for 2 minutes.
Thanks. I asked for that 3 times.
First of all, I'm grateful that everybody came and gave us their opinion. I also am a proponent for bike night. However, our city belongs to everyone. And so every single Friday night during our only 4 months of good weather feels like if we're gonna have a rush of people that possibly want to get every Friday night next year, like maybe a square dancing group will want every Friday. So I think we do need to think about one group to have it every single Friday night in our only good weather. We need to consider that. I'm just asking all the commissioners to really think about that, because we need to be fair to our whole community. And I love, but my husband's a biker, so I think it's a good thing. I don't want to do away with it. I just think that 15 weeks or 16 weeks in a row is unfair and monopolizes our streets for one group. We have to be aware of everybody. The other thing is, I would like to try and mend fences. This was upsetting to see downtown businesses that face each other all day long. There was bad feelings, and I grew up here, and that downtown was the main area. We talked about this a week ago. Everybody shop down here, and this downtown, they were family. And I would love to see fences mended. I don't think it's Jim's problem to do it. I would love some direction from Jim. But these businesses that want it, and I saw 3 businesses, restaurant owners, that say, I would love this. We maybe need to help facilitate, or somebody need to help facilitate those businesses to collaborate so that the bike night can be successful. I also think that not having it every single Friday, having it first and last Friday, or something consistent that is easy to remember, doesn't dilute it. And so they're looking forward to that day, and they mark it on their calendars, and they're like, hey, I'm for sure going first and last, or whatever we decide to do that's consistent. That makes it fair for everybody. It's a compromise. So I just, it's all about unity. I mean, that was something I ran on to be elected. I want to bring peace and unity to our community. Unity in the community is so important, to bring people, to have them want to come. So that, and I would like to ask Madam Mayor or Mike, could I please have figures drawn up or information on maybe renegotiating our city attorney's contract? Right now, we're paying him by the hour. I would like to know the cost of a retainer fee to him so that we could get him at the meetings. I'd like him to be here for every meeting. We're a big enough city that for the last, 14, 15 years that I know of for sure, we had a city attorney here. It's beneficial. I've had several city residents call and say, what's happening? What are you guys gonna do on that? And my answer is, I don't know. So I would like those figures to see about maybe renegotiating that contract and having a retainer fee and having the city manager here. It's a layer of protection for the commission, but also for our city. So I'm asking for that information.
Understood. Mr. Womack and myself will talk about it, figure out. I don't have the figures, but we'll talk about it.
And could we put it on the agenda for next meeting for discussion?
Well, I think the rules.
If they have the time and figures, I think they have up to three meetings per request.
Sometimes
get
that
it
stuff
out.
is difficult to good, we gotta talk to them, and all sorts of things, but.
Plus whatever else is already on, time for that speed. But we can do that. Commissioner Brady.
The only comment I had, it's maybe more of a question. In departmental communications, we got a recommendation from the planning commission to review the marijuana grow facilities, but I didn't know if there was any action that we were taking on that, or
There's no action to be taken because we're not, at this time, because we're not discussing that. But
it just
at
comes.
some point when we discuss that, when we get to that, then that'll be in the packet, the recommendation.
So that's coming from the planning department.
The planning commission, the board, the planning commission board.
Mr. Ball is, what's his role on that board? I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Ball is a former city planner.
Yeah.
Of the city. He's no longer, I believe he's got one meeting left, and he's no longer a planning consultant. But for what it's worth, and I don't mean to steal your time, but, I told the planning commission that we absolutely will be looking at the issues that they're concerned with. So I think that was more of them saying, we think this is important.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important too.
So just kind of got overlapped with, all right, that makes sense.
Commissioner Wilson.
Well, thank you, Mayor Markworth. Just a little bit of a recap. On January 27th, we had a special meeting held out at the depot, which I dearly love, with a man by the name of Greg Gaisho. And he is a expert in city management, been a city manager forever. And I found it very, very informative, and we had a good time with learning new things and exchanging some of our thoughts. I'm looking forward to an amicable conclusion for bike night. I would like to reiterate, but I won't take the time, what Commissioner Petrie has said. We just want it to be fair for all people. We do not want to get rid of bike night, but we want to maybe make some modifications. We think it's an important event for the city. I was very sorry to hear about the fire. And I'm just glad that everyone is safe because it doesn't always turn out that way. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It's coming up. And guys, you gotta get your sweethearts good
Shop and other shops throughout the city.
Oh, one last thing. Chris Van Bell was here earlier from the Refuge. He's a nonprofit that could really use some financial help. And he does have an annual dinner at the Lapeer Country Club coming up in April. But he's a real good guy and he does a lot of hard work. That's it.
Commissioner Allen, I didn't forget about you.
No. Thanks. I will keep this pretty brief, but I just feel like, there's kind of been a false narrative. I know our city manager mentioned Facebook, but there's kind of been a false narrative that, in my opinion, it makes the city look bad, that we're anti-bike night or anti-bikers or anti-nonprofits or I just feel like that we're doing our job and due diligence when we have a policy in place that's been brought up. My attention, I missed it before. I tried bringing it up last year with some questions about the policy. But we're just doing our jobs as elected officials because we have to talk about it here in public and work out. And sometimes when you're ironing a really wrinkly shirt, right, it takes a little while and it may get hot, may get painful, but they're meaningful conversation and there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. But I don't think that the city is trying to portray that we're anti-bikers. There's a lot to consider here. We have a whole downtown with businesses that do benefit, businesses that don't. That's just the reality. You have businesses that want it, you have businesses that don't. That's just the reality. Me as an elected official want to do my due diligence, not approve it right away, give people time to discuss, but not to get out there on Facebook and people who are against it to, you know, I was reading some of the comments and they were saying, you know, some of these businesses that really don't like it or don't want it are afraid to speak up because well, let's not support that business then. That's not really the narrative that I want to portray. I think people who have a voice pro or against should have the ability and to speak their mind without being chastised or put down or boycotted. I mean, how do we get to that point to where we all work together for the common good? We all want downtown to be successful. So people who have a different opinion shouldn't be chastised. And we heard it here tonight from the event organizer. He wishes that a nonprofit would take it over. Every mentor I spoke to about closing your street for a for-profit event every Friday is not a good idea unless it is done in conjunction or put on by a nonprofit, so everybody can pool their money together in the nonprofit and make it a successful event. I've been downtown, I lived there, I've seen the success of the first night, or the first year it was there, huge success. I've never seen that many bikes in one area in one time. It was incredible. The following year, the DDA did take it on. So within that, you have different policies. You know, it was a nonprofit, it was put on by the DDA, and then it had turned into a for-profit event. So there's nothing wrong with having conversations as a public board to figure it out. But what has happened is it's given time for rumors, lies, division, which frankly upsets me. And I don't want to see division. That's not the purpose behind what we're doing up here. I don't think anybody wants to see that. So how do we figure it out? How do we make it successful? I don't know. I think we heard from a lot of nonprofits here tonight that take place in a for-profit event. Why can't a nonprofit take it over? I mean, it just seems like a simple solution. It's a lot of work for one person to put on. One person, one individual, one applicant in a for-profit event. It is a lot of work, and there's a reason why James Dahl or the DDA, whoever decided. I mean, when they ixed it from their project or from their events, was there an outcry then? Was there division? Was there people storming the DDA meeting, or was it just boom? Now it's a city issue. So, I mean, I would like to recommend, we have a new DDA chair. We have new members on the DDA. Is it possible to have a conversation with the city manager, the DDA director, the DDA chair, and a DDA representative to see if there is a solution there? If not, fine. But I feel like for this bike night to be a success, it needs to be taken over by a nonprofit. And I think the event organizer was reaching out tonight saying, please, a nonprofit, please take this over, because it's taxing. He has to run a business and try and make this event successful. That's a burden in itself, running a business nowadays in this type of an environment. So, I mean, I've rambled on, but again, I am upset at the discord and the lies and the division that's spread out throughout the community, especially the biker communities. That's not what we want to portray. We don't want to be against nonprofits or this, that, and the other. I don't think any of us up here are wanting to charge nonprofits for doing events. It's just figuring out the policy. There's nothing wrong with the conversation. Again, we have to iron out those wrinkles. And it is painful, but necessary in my opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Womack.
So I was going to say no comment because this meeting's gone long enough, but I want to support what Mr. Atwood just said. You know, I've had to deal with all these business owners, the DDA, the chamber, all these folks, and this event, the bike night, has exposed bickering, infighting, dispute between the business community. And we may have our own problems, right? Ours is policy-based. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the citizens and citizens in mind, right? For the best benefit of all. But when I've got one business owner saying, well, I'm putting in the event by myself and nobody wants to help me. And I've got another business owner saying, well, I offered to help, you refused my help. I've got a third business owner saying, I offered to help and he refused my help. There's a fracture in the business community, and I don't know if we can solve it. I'd love to, believe me. If I was a dictator, things would be so much easier. But you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. And I'm with you. I'd love to see the DDA take this over. Jim's not in the room, is he? Okay, well, I will tell him that tomorrow. Because when you have a neutral party who can maybe work with some of these bickering business owners, that maybe you can have, I mean, we're supposed to be neutral, and I am neutral. We try to do these things in a neutral and fair way for all parties. So if you've got one business owner who is organizing everything, refusing help, maybe you need to say, hey, look, we love the event, but maybe somebody else has to do it.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm not a policymaker, and of course, this is maybe just an ignorant opinion, but that's been my experience. And I want the city to do better.
My turn. Okay, I have just a couple of local events to announce that reminder that the city offices will be closed on Monday, February 19th. And therefore, our next city commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 20th. Now, a comment on the DDA and why the board suggested that we give it up. Through the DDA and Main Street, we have a list of events, several of them, and it was recommended to the board that we review those events and cut those events down based on our volunteer list. We don't have tons of volunteers out there, just like everywhere. And so the easiest thing that happened was to take the one event, because that's 12 to 15 events each night. So that's why I got chopped, number one. Number two is Jim's a one person, and we have part-timer Jill. And we do have some volunteers, but it became very difficult for Jim to do it all on his own, even though there was some commissioners and a couple other volunteers that would help out. And that doesn't mean that we can't pull together. I'm just trying to tell you a little bit of history of why that happened. I'm not sure that the DDA is going to be willing to take that over. And again, but I bet that they'd be willing to sit down and have some conversations about the city commission, whatever. So I just wanted you all to know that. I want to thank everybody for being here, even though most people are a lot, especially our, thank you guys, especially our staff. I know this is a very long night, and hopefully they'll start getting a little shorter at some of our next meetings.
Yeah, Mary,
I know we had two.
I got one more thing, if you're done.
All right, I'll let you talk.
I want to wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Glissman.
Oh, that's nice. Happy birthday to you.
Kisses.
There you go. All right, so I declare this meeting closed. 9:32. Thank you, everybody.
Happy birthday. Thursday. I'm sure it'll be 10 or 11 I took this job last week. I can't so it's been 2 years. You're required to scoot up once a year. Mr. Dunn, how are you, sir?
All right.